Hello, my friend, and welcome to KCM Team Tournament Day 5. We've got Team Best versus Team Light. We have some excellent lineups here today, so let's get into it. We're going to talk about the matchup. The first 6 games have already been chosen here. We've got the names and the map names as well. So what do you think about this lineup so far, Shun?
Well, first thing I'm got my eyes drawn to saying is that there's not a single mirror match on this lineup, so big hype for that. Not going to be any mirror matches to worry about, just pure TVZ, PVZ, TVP action across the board. I'm looking forward to this. Looks good.
Yeah, it's looking like a good old KCM race war here. We've got some excellent matchups. I'm really looking forward to see Killer versus Best. I want to see Sock play as well. He's going to be taking on Ruin. Mine versus 815 should be a great final set here, but everything's looking very nice and balanced with the pro players on both squads. So the ladies pros might be the winning factor here. We'll have to see.
Yeah, definitely the females could be the deciding factor in a lineup like this, and yeah, I'm really excited to see Mine versus 815, like you say. There's some great series on this board. I'm looking forward to seeing how it pans out.
Well, let's just hop right into game number 1 here. Got these lower tier ladies players to start things off. A little bit of an appetizer here before we get into the full meal.
Yeah, always nice to have a little appetizer, wet the palate, kind of get yourself hungry for more going into this game. None other than the likes of Monster, spawning in the top left as the red Terran, and her opponent in the bottom right, none other than the blues Kahiri for Team Light. Hopefully we're gonna have a nice little TVZ to start things off here soon.
A little cross map action here. One of the biggest maps we've got in the pool. It's gonna be Vermeer. Probably one of the best maps as well, don't you think?
Oh yeah, probably, if not the one. Well, I've heard Artosis say it's the map that's the least bad for Terran, basically saying the most balanced map, right? And I can't really fault him for that logic, but I'm not too sure about the whole it's the least bad map for Terran thing. But nonetheless, it is probably arguably the most balanced map that we have in any map pool currently. That might be subject to change, but right now do like playing on this map zone.
Assuming we get past the early game here, I think one important thing to mention is the difficulty of scouting this entire map as Terran, especially for some of these lower APM players. Obviously, right now, Monster 350 APM. It's hard to keep that up. We'll see if she's able to stay at that level for the whole game. But if you're not quite at that pro level, it can be tough to find a hidden base out on the map, and the Zerg may be able to just eke out a little extra gas, get into if they're going to go for something like a crazy Zerg style and just hide bases around the map. It can be really hard to find here on Vermeer.
Yeah, it can be quite tricky actually, and there is some sneaky ways you can play where you take some very strange third bases. A Zerg on this map can really throw your opponent off if they're not used to trying to sniff that out. We do see now the SCV finally making its way, as well as the drone confirming that, although the drone didn't want to come in and confirm the exact CC timing or check to see whether or not there's a possible gas behind this, just because of the danger of potentially losing that drone as the ring comes out here. So not wanting to risk that early economic damage, instead just trying to bank on the fact that this is going to be a normal Rax expand, and hopefully not going to need to build a creep colony early to ward off a vulture. But sometimes that could be a bit of a problem if this Monster could have faked out a wall in here and then gone for a very fast factory, and then kind of surprised Kahiri with a very early vulture timing, and kind of Kahiri's kind of gambling that's not going to be the case.
And Kahiri, floating a bit of money there, ends up throwing down the third base here over at the 3 o'clock. Oh, what's the thinking behind this, do you suppose?
I don't know for sure. I can say that these side bases are definitely good to take on this map, though. Like, you can sunken them up. So let's say if Kahiri wanted to go for a bit of a crazy Zerg style and go straight into the Ultralist tech, having these kind of nice little tight chokes to defend with sunkens is very defendable, and having them close to your other bases does make it easier to clean up with Mutaling in the mid-game phase as well. So if that's the logic, then I can't fault it.
And it looks like Monster's gonna go for a mech build. Look, no Marines being built here should tip the hand to Kahiri. She hasn't seen that factory yet, but we'll see if additional factories get added on here. It could also be a Valkyrie build, right? We can't rule that out just yet.
Yeah, it does require quite a significant amount of micro to do these Valkyrie builds, or at least to get the most value out of those Valkyrie units, because the patrol micro is just so difficult to execute. Though we still might see it in these echelons of play. We certainly do see that on the ladder as well. Very quick evolution chamber coming out of Kahiri, making me now start to wonder, are we going to be seeing this crazy Zerg style? Or are we going to be seeing something a little bit different in the wheelhouse from Kahiri? Could just be a very fast carapace timing to just get a little bit of an advantage over Monster here. But that could be also indicative of something like Crazy Zerg going straight into that Ultralist tech by getting the carapace online early.
Yeah, getting the carapace online, like Crazy Zerg's not good against mech, right? But getting the early upgrade, it doesn't hurt versus mech. So if she does end up just switching off of Crazy Zerg here and going into a different style, then I mean it can still work out for you. She is gonna go ahead and grab 2 sunken colonies here. She needs to do so because there is that vulture out on the map. It's putting on that pressure. The spire is coming up here. We'll see how many mutas she actually produces, because there's going to be Goliaths popping out here pretty soon, and there shouldn't be too much damage coming here from Kahiri.
Right, and Kahiri does see this early vulture coming out, so she will understand that this is some kind of like 1-1-1 timing, so she understands that, okay, maybe there's this going to be a potential of just a pure Goliath play coming out. Now, it might not necessarily be a Valkyrie build as it might be, so she doesn't know for sure what's going to be coming. It could be a Valkyrie build, it could be a mech play. We obviously, as casters, have the luxury of knowing exactly what Monster's going for right now, but unfortunately, Kahiri doesn't have that information, so she kind of have to hedge her bets just a little bit, but she will have to start to figure this out soon and probably have to make a lot of Mutalisks. Now, one thing that can be said for this situation is she needs to get inside the main base eventually of Monster around like the 7, 8, 9 minute mark and start to confirm what the tech path will be. Will there be just 2, 3 factories going into double armory with upgrades, or will this be like a 5 factory Goliath play? Because that will be very important in deciding what exactly we do as Zerg here. How many Mutalisks are we going to make, and when do we switch into Hydras?
Yeah, I think you see this first couple of Goliaths, especially with the floating barracks, you absolutely know this is not going to be medic marine play here. There's some sort of mech behind this, but yeah, you're right. You want to get in there and see if there's going to be a starport. Are we going to be going into a full-on upgrade Terran? There's also these weird builds that have come in and out of popularity where you actually float your barracks up into the main and then build a bunch more barracks and push out with Marine Medic and Goliath, which sounds really counterintuitive and weird, but it can catch you if you're, you know, making a ton of Hydras and you don't have the Lurker upgrade on time. You can just die to a Marine Medic bust that's just a little bit later. Gonna try and run in here, not a good idea. Just gonna be forced back by that sunken colony, and we have mutas on the field now with 3 gas. Not a lot of workers at that third base. Needs a transfer here pretty soon and get that mining, but first of all, gonna fly in here and start to get some damage going in the Terran. Wow, not even one shot. Okay, a little bit rough there for Kahiri.
Yeah, I would have expected her to at least come in there and take out the SCV building the factory before having to tactically withdraw, but unfortunately not going to be able to achieve that. Instead, swinging around, rotating to this left-hand side of the map, trying to come into the natural expansion on this vertical axis, seeing if she can come in there and take some of these SCVs out on these lower mineral patches, but there's just so many Goliaths and turrets in the vicinity that we'll have to back out there without taking too much damage further. So Kiri not really able to get anything done thus far, but is starting to get these macro hatches online. We'll be switching into Hydras right away, so kind of not really allowing this to dissuade her too much, and is just quickly switching into Hydras without investing too much more into these Mutalisks, I think.
I think you, as Kahiri here, you gotta kind of expect Monster to go for more of a long-term play. We are cross maps here. It's very difficult to do a big push across the map and, you know, not have the rallies overwhelm you coming from the Zerg. And look at that. Inside the main base, if she managed to get in here, it's almost worth it to sacrifice a Muta at this point. Just send it in, and just so that you can see what's going on here, because flitting around the outside of the base, you can't actually tell whether the player is gonna attack you with a double upgrade. And just as I said, look at that, she flies in with 1 muta. Perfect scout, sees everything, she knows what she's up against now.
Yeah, you need to have some kind of indication on what you're facing. But how many factories there are? Is there 2 armories? Is the starport online? These are such important pieces of intel you need in this mid-game phase to kind of be able to feel out where you are in this game and how to navigate the ebb and flow coming forward. Because you need to know when the push is going to come. Likely, are we safe to pump drones right now, or do we need to make nothing but units because we're about to die? It's very important to know these kind of things as Zerg, and you see a little bit of a move out onto the map as Monster as she starts to gear up to take this 3rd base location. Probably not keen on pushing for quite some time because of how open the center will be, pushing cross map. She's able to ward away these mutas relatively easily, obviously, but this is Borrowed Ling at this 3rd base, which will slow things down, forcing a scan out of one of these comsats that are being thrown up right now. And even as just making a comsat, you need to be quite carefully diligent on when you choose to make these, because basically making 2 comsats at the same time is also the same as like not building 4 SCVs, so you'll take quite a big hit to your economy when you make these comsats. So picking the right time to make them and usually as late as possible in this matchup is the best choice.
Yeah, and she did wait quite a long time. That's pretty typical for a meching Terran player to wait for pretty late timing to put that down. So it's a good idea from Kahiri to get that burrow. Just delaying the command center at all is great for her right now. I'm a little bit wondering about this base that's being taken at 6 o'clock. Generally, when I see this type of play, I feel like it's pretty much always good to just take multiple bases around the map. Go ahead and take like top right and bottom left as kind of outposts that are difficult to push. You got the high ground. It's very hard to push up that ramp against Hydras. You have to bring your tanks and all that to get up there, and you're pretty much guaranteed to get one of those 2 bases.
Yeah, usually that's how I like to play Zerg, is basically expanding in opposite directions of the map, and one falls, the other can sometimes tend to live. So unfortunately though, I think that it's not always going to be the style that these players will want to elect for. You'll see this more virus style of playing where they kind of like expand in one direction and try and take like leapfrog across the map a little bit and not actually take the corners as much. But it's not necessarily the preferred style, but if you are transitioning very early into Hydras, sometimes it can be a wise way of playing, because you don't want to have to worry about splitting up your ground forces too much in the mid-game phase against a Terran mech. Even though the Terran mech is very immobile and slow, sometimes you can still get your army split easily and not able to properly engage the Terran army of all units at once, and then that could just lead to an auto loss situation. So sometimes this style of play can be good, but personally I'm not too fond of it either.
Do you think we're going to see Queens here? I really feel like Queens is a great counter to what's being done here by Monster. Oh, she loses that drone. That's painful. Really want to get those bases online as soon as possible, and just delaying that at all is going to be really tough now for Monster. Losing Hydras to Mines is never good either. Those are pretty much free units. Mines getting any value is going to be painful as well. Need to see some more map control though for Monster. Just these few vultures flitting around is not really going to slow down the Zerg too much.
No, absolutely not, saying. But I think I'm in full agreement with you here. We need to have Queens to dislodge this Terran position, and in this meta, we see an Ultralisk Cavern being made. I'm not sure that's the wisest of choice, unless Kahiri's got this weird style where she's gonna want to make like 10 Ultras all at the same time and try and overwhelm the Terran position with some kind of crazy like mind game thing where like Monster just doesn't expect it, and there's no mines out on the map, so the army just gets swallowed up. I don't know how else this would work going for the Ultras here. I'm not too big of a fan of it, to be honest with you. But we'll see what Kikri's got planned with that, but I'm a bit confused.
Yeah, she's got lots of bases online here. She's got lots of production, but Monster is about to move out, it looks like. Maybe gonna take a 4th base and push across the map at the same time, and I don't know if Kahiri is ready for this. She's pretty far behind in the supply. That's pretty typical. 160 supply is a lot for Zerg, But this army will absolutely just demolish the mostly Hydralisk force that's been put out here by Kahiri. I don't see any queens, and yeah, this is going to be really, really rough for her to try and engage this, especially if it gets into a good location and sieges up. Maybe a counterattack is in order? Maybe Kahiri waiting for this army to move across the map, possibly towards that top right. If she moves to the top right, I think the Kahiri counterattack would be the right option.
Yeah, I think that's the idea, is trying to pull this army out of position and go for a counter. The only thing that has to be said, though, is that it's so hard to bring these critical mass of Hydras, the forces, to bear against the Terran mech. Getting them to all engage at the same time is just so difficult to accomplish. We've seen now Kahiri rallying across the map with these full forces, trying to go for this big counter play, but looks like the fluid motion of Monster is just barely sufficient enough as she makes a sufficient wide enough arc across this threshold. It's a big arc of Hydras from the western side, though, pushing forward, and not really the Hydras finding good enough surface area to engage this Terran army. So most of these forces are going to bleed off and have to be in full tactical retreat. 138 supply to 170 of Monster, so not really the most devastating of losses for Kahiri, but certainly that was a very painful trade to have to bear. And now Monster going to be feeling emboldened and wanting to come out onto the map quite more aggressively now.
Yeah, you definitely said it there. It's hard to get your army together to move as one and to engage all at the same time. You can see Kiri struggling with that, but also struggling to turn the army around, which is even more difficult at times. Now, Ultras are coming out here on the map. They're gonna start to hit this army, but can they actually get in range? The number of tanks we've got here with +3 done already is kind of crazy. Here comes those Ultras. They have the speed, they have the carapace. Lings are coming out here as well. Hydra's hitting from behind, but everything kind of haphazard right now. I think that Monster's chosen the right approach right here with the mech style to be able to take on Kahiri and force her to do more actions than she's really comfortable with.
Yeah, the burden of control is really on the Zerg player in these situations. It's so much easier for the Terran player to simplify the micro and macro cycles that they need to engage in these moments, whereas the Zerg needs very precise execution and both full awareness of what's going on the map at any given time, and the ability to execute mass amounts of unit commands to engage the army perfectly from multiple locations at the same time. It's extremely taxing on the Zerg player to be able to engage properly in these moments, and we see just pure desperation mode from Kahiri now, trying to sweep out some mines for a counter attack, but it's going to be not really much to be found for her as these Zerglings make their way into the third base location. Even the rallied units of Monster, more than enough to destroy those, as now also Monster rallying into the natural expansion of Kahiri, ravaging apart the Ultralisks there and starting to take away some of the production of this Zerg player, and taking out the tech and the Nidus is going to completely cut off the infrastructure of this Zerg and pretty much force her to GG soon.
Yeah, losing the main base is not a tenable situation here at this point. You know, if there was more going on the map here for Kahiri, she might be able to suffer this loss and continue on in this game, but I think with Monster getting in here and dealing this damage, it should be the end for Kahiri. She should be throwing down a Defiler's Mound, maybe at the top right, a Hydra stand at the bottom left, getting those tech buildings going so that she has some options here. But yeah, it's looking very, very dire. And she is indeed throwing those down, but I don't know if she can really suffer these losses and come out on top. We've got some Ultras here popping out on the right-hand side and some kind of exposed tanks in the middle. She could clean those up pretty easily with a good group of Ultra and Ling, but she's not really moving that direction. She's looking for more counterattacks right now, and Monster's at-home army is looking big enough to take on all of these counterattacks right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's really rough for Kahiri. She would have to somehow stall out this game state for a very long time and prevent Monster from taking a fourth base, which is not really going to be conducive for her. So unfortunately, I think she's going to desperately try and stall for time and see if she can get these tech buildings back up online, muster up some kind of forces. But unfortunately, I think she might even lose this 3 o'clock base, and I think this would be a little bit too much for her to handle right now. Losing this production, losing these pockets of economy that she's got set up is really going to limit the ability to just throw out big tons of Ultralisks and Hydras that she needs to overwhelm these tank formations later on. So yeah, without these expansions and the extra drones mining for her, I don't think she's going to have quite enough to deal with these forces. She might barely clean up this 3 o'clock, but I don't think she's going to take the game.
Yeah, I think this is a good move right here. This is what you really want to do, is clean up the Terran forces in small pockets, in small groups, like what we just saw there, not engaging the full might of the Terran army at any one time. That's going to work out very well for her, but the main base has been taken over. She's going to lose this base over here. Oh my god, that's so many Sunkens. But some Vultures are going to make it by here. Start to kill some of these drones. Ultras going to have to be sent down here to clean that up. Should be able to deal with that. Bases are being taken here by Monster, but they haven't been secured yet. And the main and natural actually mined out. Doesn't matter though. 185 supplies still for Monster. She's going to have to make a real big mistake to give any chance here to Kahiri. Still hasn't been able to land those 4th command centers. A little bit taxed here is Monster, but she's gonna get herself together now. Oh, actually, she could clear this all up. That's a pretty big win right now. All of these forces kind of running home are gonna get wrecked. She should have probably left those up in the main base and just held that position. A lot of Ultras here, just getting rid of all these tanks. Nice pickup here for Kahiri.
Yeah, that's definitely a big win on the board for Kahiri. It gives her a little bit of life in her. Still going to be a bit of an uphill battle. If she can't stop these bases from coming online, it'll be really rough. But if she can somehow keep Monster a little bit overwhelmed and not able to completely muster her forces correctly, maybe there's some chances of overwhelming Monster here a little bit and keeping these bases from coming online and limiting the economic might of Monster just long enough to start stabilizing herself and coming back into this game. 3 o'clock is only just now starting to become online and they're mining again. I think she's mining pretty much only gas there though, so pretty much only on 3 bases worth of economy until this other base comes online. So really struggling in this game is Kahiri, but somehow making a fight of it. Finally, Monster, I think, gonna try and come down here and clean up this borrowed ling to then land this command center. But it's taken so long to get one of these bases online, so it has given a little bit of hope in the sails of Kahiri, though needs to be careful. There's too many of these Ultras to these mines. So much damage can be done to Ultras from just one single mine hit, so you need to be careful with that.
Yeah, losing Ultras to mines feels so bad as a Zerg player, especially when you're behind like this. The value is just insane. So she does stop the base here at the 12 o'clock, but another base going down, of course, at the center left, and this push is coming through. I think she just has to avoid this. I don't think you can actually fight this as Kahiri right now and hope to win, because there's just so many tanks here, and Ultra is so bad at taking these fights. Oh, more Ultras going down to these mines. Oh god, that was another great mine connect. She will maybe stop this base from mining though.
Yeah, I mean, she stopped the 4th base from coming online, essentially. 12 o'clock completely shut down, and this base is being shut down, so only 1 base of mining for Monster, but the bottom left is under siege. Even if this base dies, oh, nice pick up on those vessels. Might be some luck going Kahiri's way. If she can somehow get all of her tech buildings back up online in the top right, it won't be too severe losing this bottom left. We'll be losing the ability to produce Ultralisks though, which will be a little bit painful for her going forward. It will take some time for her to get back into Ultralisk by having to rebuild the lair and then hive again. So it's a bit of a precarious situation for her going forward.
That's rough. Rebuilding that. She didn't have a Nidus as well, so she can't evacuate those drones down at the bottom left. It's funny that she's hiding the drones right now. I feel like you just get as many minerals as you can before they all die, because they are definitely going to die here. The counterattack does not work at all. Kahiri loses basically everything, dropping down to 80 supply. Yeah, see every drone being killed here. No real point in evacuating those because there's no Nidus. Another base going to be taken back at the natural of Kahiri, so she's still expanding. And you know what I said at the very outset of this game is actually coming into play quite significantly here, which is you know, there's just so many bases around the map to take. You can kind of spread out and hide locations all over the place and maybe be able to, you know, eke out a little extra gas that the Terran's not paying attention to. Here we go, moving through the middle of the map. This time, this retreating force is not going to get cleaned up by Kahiri.
Yeah, I don't think so. There's so many tanks out on the map right now, saying it's 80 supply to 192 of monster. A little conga line of Ling's going to be mowed down by those fragmentation grenades of those vultures. Here come the Goliaths and that as well, making their way into 6 o'clock, kind of just bullying back any hopes of Kahiri winning this game. A bit unfortunate, I would say. So a little bit of a valiant attempt from Kahiri, but I think this will be the move that will kind of put the nail in the coffin as she comes down here with these ultras and they just get mowed down. I think she's going to realize that the writing's on the wall. There's not going to be any hope of coming back here.
Yeah, this reminds me of the old ZVP games that we used to have in, you know, Kespa era, where players thought that, oh yeah, what you do against the late game ZVP or late game Protoss is just build Ultra. It's not the right choice, not against mech. Against the Marines, of course, Ultras are fantastic, but against a full-on mech player with 3-3, building constant Ultra, there's just so many better options, especially with Queens, with Lurkers and Dark Swarm. You can hold on to positions. Like, you can never break one of these high grounds if you've got one Lurker and one Dark Swarm. It's incredibly difficult. You gotta have the Irradiates, and that just taxes the Terran player so much more. Also, switching back and forth between Muta and Hydra is really a great way to deal with this. Just coming in actually with some Mutas and getting some pretty decent kills on the tanks, but losing the center right, losing the bottom center. She just doesn't have the economy to deal with this. 55 supply to 176. Kahiri is delaying the inevitable here with these Mutas.
Yeah, 2-1 upgrades on these mutas, but 3-3 on this mech, so it takes so long for these muta glaives to really do anything as well to these units, so not really getting the value that they would like to. Just basically tickling these Terran mech units with their muta glaives, unfortunately. Going to be trying to ravish this SEV line. They can still do quite a sizable amount of damage to these SEVs as they have no upgrades, so we'll be doing quite a lot of damage to the economy of Monster for the time being, but this huge supply deficit cannot really be made whole again. Like, even if she does somehow kill all of these SEVs with these mutas and denies mining for quite some time, she still will not be able to engage this army ever. And how will she defend against these siege tanks with Sunkens? It's just not really going to be a tenable situation for her to be able to deal with. So even I think the only things that could maybe have held here would be some kind of Guardian switch, but no, unfortunately not. GG called finally from Kahiri.
Yeah, Kahiri taps out. Game number 1 goes to Team Best. Alright, Shun. We've finished our appetizer. Now it's time for the main course. We got Best versus Killer. Team Captain hitting the field right now.
Well, let's make it happen, Captain. Best trying to show Killer who the real king of the jungle is. Gonna be beating his chest in this opening bout. Maybe doing a little bit of a false charge, you know, seeing if Killer really is a killer and kind of hold his own at the fierce charge of this Silverback, or is he going to flinch at the first sign of danger?
Yeah, Killer, do not look him in the eyes. Gotta avert your gaze when you're going up against the Silverback here. He's going to be throwing down a forward pylon here and sending the probe right across the map. Is Bez going to go for a forge opener here on Tempest? It's very popular right now. You don't need a lot to defend here on high ground.
Yeah, I think it's both very popular here and it's very in line with what Best would like to do. He's a very Forge Fast Expand centric kind of player. He can obviously gateway Fast Expand like any respectable Protoss player can, but it does seem to be his preferred method to go for that Forge Fast Expand. And taking advantage of this high ground natural does kind of seem like you might as well go for that. So I'm pretty sure that's what we're going to be seeing here, especially with the early probe scout, kind of indicative of wanting to play for a more, you know, greedy economic style of play.
Yeah, it seems like he may be thinking about throwing down a Nexus, but that might be disastrous. We do have the spawning pool finishing up here, right? He's gonna throw down. What is he doing? What is Best doing? He doesn't build anything. Look at the natural. What's happening?
I don't. It's a mistake. I think he made a mistake. I think he made a mistake.
Oh boy.
I think he mined with the probe and forgot that the probe was on a mine cycle, went to build the building and realized the probe was in the main returning the mineral or something like that. There's definitely a mistake there from Best with the probe.
Oh no. Yeah, I think he's just dead here. If there's 6 lings being produced, and I imagine there is, because Killer, you know, he's got that overlord over the natural, like, hey buddy, Forge is not done. I don't think you're gonna be able to hold this off. He's gonna have to pull like, what, 10 probes? Every probe? What do you do right now?
8.
Yeah, okay, it's gonna be 8. There it is. He's still got so much time on this cannon, dude. There's so long before this actually finishes up. He's gonna have to fight straight up against these links. Nice surround here. Actually not bad. 2 probes go down right off the bat. 1 link, 2 links go down. 3 links. Okay, great surround there. Wow, he actually blocked that out. That's crazy to me. Unreal here. Best actually holds on. That's correct. That is wild,
dude. He just wrapped those big gorilla arms around Killer and gave him a nice, beautiful hug and said, "Let's just be one with humanity and the world and nature and get the hell out of my base."
I don't know how the heck he managed to keep those lings off of his cannon. The blocking is insane. Killer got to be scratching his head right now. As to just how that ended up working. He should have gotten a free win there, 100%. That was a big mistake by Best. He paid for it, of course, losing, what, 4 or 5 probes, but you know, he got the lings, he got rid of them. He's still gonna be okay here. It's not a good position for Best, but at least he's not just straight up dead.
Imagine if Best like planned that the entire time and he just like really worked hard on his probe micro and was like, okay, so I'm just gonna like bait him into making the links and I just like send 8 probes and just like block him out with some micro. Like that'd be crazy if that was even intentional or not. Maybe, who knows?
I can't imagine that it was. It's just so much better to keep your probes mining and just have the cannon on time. Oh my god. It's crazy how much more efficient that would be. But he's gonna slip around here with 1 zealot. It's gonna go ahead and maybe sneak into the natural here. No, not quite. Looks like the overlord gonna spot that. Killer should react here and keep this zealot from dealing any damage. Still, he might be able to slip behind a mineral patch or something in the main. That would be annoying. Nope, Killer gonna get over here and block. And oh, actually the zealot managed to get in the main. I really thought he was gonna block that out of the main there.
No way. I think Killer's rattled. I think Killer definitely is rattled after the failed Ling attack at the start here. He's going to be catching this zealot, most likely. He's still a very good player, Killer, but is definitely not on his A game right now for sure. And that's all that's going to be important. Just because he's still in the game right now doesn't really matter. As long as he's a little bit shaky, that's going to be all that Best needs to kind of come out on top in the later phase of this game. So Killer really can't afford to lose that killer instinct and needs to keep his eye on the target right now and maybe go for another big stab with these links. Maybe he can overwhelm Best when he least suspects it. Maybe Best kind of makes a little bit of a misstep, comes out here, or we can see a full-on greed play from Killer as well. He could take a lot of bases, a lot of drones right now. Could even go for like an Ogre Zerg style, try and overwhelm Best with a lot of Mutas, a lot of Scourge. I think a lot of options available to Killer here. +1 is already on the way for Best, so it's going to be prepared for that kind of Ogre Zerg way of playing if he does elect to do that.
I think that Best is predicting a Muta bust here. He's gone for double Stargate, but there's the Hydra Den. Killer not gonna fall for that. He's not gonna go for that sort of quick win here, and Best is gonna end up with a tech that's not really gonna be helping him out too much unless he can really get some huge overlord damage. This double Stargate is not gonna end up working out well for him.
Yeah, probably not, Sin, but we'll see. I think double Stargate is a really double-edged sword for a lot of Protoss players. Sometimes you can kind of fake them into making them think that you're really going to commit into these Mutalisks and Scourge, and really you just make a crap ton of Hydras and overwhelm their front. They don't have enough storms or cannons to fend it off, so can be a little bit of a double-edged sword in that regard. So need to be careful how much you balance the tech path and the Corsair relative to what the Zerg is doing. Sometimes they do go for these early timings with a early 4th hatch and slightly faster den. You can just die to like a 9-minute timing right before all of your storms are active and ready to repel the attack. So I don't think we're going to be seeing that necessarily in this game, but Killer might be having something similar in mind, where wanting to fake going for this sort of Muta Scourge, but really we're going to be seeing some sort of bust at the front, which would be very unexpected with the high ground as well. But that might be exactly what Killer's banking on to try and kind of overwhelm Best and kind of catch him by surprise, maybe.
Yeah, and the positioning here of the 3rd base is such that it's really decent to go for a Hydralisk bust here. He's popping out some Hydras, but Best just throws down triple cannon. You know, he's realized that this is a possibility, that without that early storm, he's just not going to be able to hold on against the Hydra bust. So he's going to go ahead and take the safe route here, only with a couple of gateways. You know, you really want to be adding on gateways right now. He doesn't want to be building cannons, but he's going to go ahead and hedge his bets right now, throw down a bunch of cannons here at the front.
I really like to see that. And a lot of Protoss players I've coached, I've always said, hedge your bets when you play against Zerg. If you're not sure, make the cannons. You can always cancel them at the 99% mark if you do confirm with your Corsairs or what have you, whether or not something's on the way in the early game phases. So it is better to hedge your bets against Zerg, because just dying just feels so bad. Taking those greedy risks is just never going to be a good result on the ladder, especially. So do advise players to play more like we see Best playing here, and just being really ultra safe against anything that could be thrown against him.
He is going to be safe here on high ground. No way you break, what is this, 8 cannons? But Killer going to get over here. He's going to see what's going on. As soon as he tries to run up that ramp, even if he just sends 1 Hydra up there, he's going to see that there's no way you're getting up there, and maybe just time to take a 4th base. Yeah, Killer takes a base in the center left, and he should be droning from here.
Yeah, I would say heavy drones, take a 4th base. If we can deny the 3rd going up for quite some time, obviously Killer could just remain Battle Zerg and not even need to go into Hive here, but that Best could also just end up going Robo and taking a shuttle to start expanding and setting up like a little island Protoss style and going Sair Reaver with that. So there would be options for Best still if that was the case, if the Killer could somehow contain him here. But I don't think we're going to be seeing that either way. I think instead we're going to be seeing Killer just trying to get up to like a strong Battle Zerg style army over the next few minutes and try and overpower Best when he comes out onto the map to take a 3rd.
That's possible. There's also the possibility we could see Lurker here and a contain play, because I mean, it is good to be coming down from high ground here as a Protoss, but you can get almost like just a crescent shape at the bottom of the ramp there. As this Protoss tries to push out, there's so much surface area to surround that ramp, and it can be very difficult to push down there and then up the next ramp, right? It's very hard to potentially get out of a containment play here from Killer, and he is building Lurkers right now, but these may just be defensive because there are Zealots out on the map making threats. Killer needs to defend this bottom, or this center left base, and he doesn't actually have any vision over here of these Zealots making their way, but he's already sending some Lurkers and Hydras over to that location.
Yeah, best understand the importance of keeping these Zealots active on the map. They always need to be a threat, be able to come just causing havoc at any moment's notice. He is losing them rather, unfortunately, for free here, but having them out on the map is also important. If you don't have these Zealots out on the map and instead they are stuck inside your base and they just walk up and contain you of Lurkers, you have no ability to counterplay or do anything. So having these Zealots out on the map actually is preventing the Zerg from even setting up the Lurker contain right now, because once the Zerg knows the Zealots are already out on the map, it's very difficult to commit to a full Lurker contain, knowing that there's Zealot run-bys that could occur and ravish your drone lines or prevent significant damage to you by pincering your contain from both sides as they move out as well. So all of his Lurker group in the main base. Target fire on the cannon doesn't quite get good enough shots. Some of the probes going down on the geyser, but not quite able to kill too many of those probes. Does kill the cannon and going to reshuffle this Lurker all the way back to the back of the base as well. Really sneaky plays from Killer with the two lurkers also on the high ground, and the natural going to be shutting down the gas to limit the mining potential. There is an observer here to come up here with some dragoons to try and shut this down to prevent losing this guys, but Killer definitely being very sneaky right now.
This is a beautiful play from Killer. He's gonna get some damage onto this gas. He does back away as the dragoons come up. That's gonna be a constant threat there though for Best. Can't really sit comfortably here with those lurkers on high ground. He's gonna have to spend 2 storms to get rid of that. Those are 2 storms that could be very useful here in the upcoming fight. Finally does regain control of his main base. Gonna lose his Corsairs though. Oh gosh. Best being shoved back here, and Killer looking to be in a very good position now after slowing down Best quite a bit with that drop.
Yeah, look at these lurkers being set up on the high ground now. I'm starting to like Killer's position more and more, and the supplies are indicative of an advantage to Killer, and Best is starting to smell there's a little bit of danger now. He needs to start coming out on the map right now before he gets too boxed in by Killer. There are some lurkers being morphed on the right-hand side as well. Killer would just set up a monster of a contain if left to his own devices, so Best is being very proactive right now, coming out onto the map with the Protoss infantry, making its way downtown to the southeast side of this threshold to try and push back any Zerg auxiliary forces while also kind of gaining some map control, because he needs to kind of put on some pressure of a counterattack potential here, so Killer can't just expand in the southwest quadrant of the map without any kind of pressure from Best. So this will limit the potential of Killer just expanding for free here, but also preventing Killer from committing too hard to a contain, because there would be the threat of a counterattack at any given moment. So it keeps a lot of the units pinned down in the center for Killer for the time, buying Best some valuable time needed to set up this third base, to build up his forces, to get some kind of army composition that will be able to fight this Zerg army. But right now it's looking very Killer favored.
Killer, we haven't gotten a shot of it yet, but he has a huge force in the middle of the map right now. There are so many Hydras here at this on this center peninsula. He's gonna run forward, try to snipe a few Templar here before the full-on engage, and he gets 3. A 4th just about going down there. Best really on the ropes now. There's going to be so many Hydras coming up here, and he just doesn't have the storms maybe to take that on. Big probe transfer here to the center right. Sorry, go ahead, Shun.
Killer is just impressing me right now. He's kind of like this cloak and dagger psycho killer that's just sticking the dagger into the muscle fibers of this silverback gorilla before he can even get his paws on him. And every time he's swinging around trying to get his hands on Killer's just like taking another stab at him, and eventually has worn down this gorilla and kind of taking the fight out of him. And he's looking a little bit tired, a little bit worse for wear. There is some DT trying to get some damage in that 4th base location, but going to be hunted down by this Overlord and Hydra force, while also having to fight this huge amount of Protoss units on the right-hand side. Killer, though, only using a small portion of his army at any given time, trying to get as many tactical snipes as possible, taking an observer kill here, sniping a High Templar there, and maybe a few Dragoons there. That we just saw another High Templar just going down to a few Hydras at the front and just whittling down this force more and more. And eventually, Best is going to become all dried up. This probe transfer also getting shut down by Killer. Best is just unable to be everywhere at once right now, and Killer is able to do so.
Yeah, Killer getting in between the 2 armies here. He's gonna cut off the retreat of this force on the right hand side. There's not too many storms with that army right now. Looks like some zealots getting cleaned up over here as well, just taking a fight versus Lurker Hydra. Not the greatest trade for old Best here. He's gonna lose another Templar, and this Templar here gonna be chased back as well. Might be able to get the snipe on that, although the Dragoons do clean up those Hydras in time. I don't think that Best can hold this 3rd man. He is just about to get overwhelmed here. Such a big supply differential at the moment.
Yeah, 170 to 129, 40 supply difference. There's no way. We see a little Dark Templar coming into the 4th base location, taking a few swipes at the drone, like getting a couple of those kills, but not really going to put much of a dent in the infrastructure that is Killer right now. probably upwards of 9 or so hatcheries online presently in full battle Zerg style. Now transitioning into Hive though, with this Defiler Mound going to be one more nail in the coffin for Best to have to try and push his way out of. And I don't think he's going to manage it. I don't think he has the strength to push his way through 6 feet of dirt and this like coffin made of stone that Killer's just like fashioning for him right now. And we see the base being set up at the south side of the map as well. Going to be another base for Killer to become even more potent. Now sniping more and more High Templars in the bottom right side of this middle peninsula area, and just limiting the counterattack options of Best over and over again by just taking the fight out of him by sniping these High Templars over and over and over again.
Yeah, these little stabs from Killer have constantly cut the ligaments here of Best. Oh! The storms, though, just annihilating this army. All of those mistakes have been a little bit made up here by that huge storm. However, no more storms remain. An army coming up from both sides. Looks like Best is going to be completely forced back here. Dragoons running onto high ground. We've got some storms here, some zealots. He can hold from this position, but Killer nearly closing the noose there just a moment ago on Best.
Well, this is like King Kong fighting like a three-headed Hydra or something. I have no idea what I'm witnessing here, but suddenly like the King Kong fights back. He takes a few big swipes at the beast and just like claws him down, maybe even taking like one of his heads off. But there's just so many heads for him to contend with right now, and Killer just able to come at him again and again with these waves of Hydras, not really able to form a strong enough defense is Best. There's just not enough storms available to him, but he's got to make one more attempt at it. Coming onto this high ground peninsula area, there's so many lurkers here, but there's no unit supporting them, so we can just get up on top of them and take them out before any reinforcing units come to defend. Killer trying to desperately send some lurker Hydra up here to fight with this army. So far, Best doing a good job of rallying out onto the map to try and get some foothold here, and Killer trying to engulf this army. There is a DT down at the bottom of the bottom of the map, trying to get some drone kills and distract Best. Meanwhile, look at this force right now getting ripped apart by the storm. Somehow Best still trying to fight back with everything he's got. He's running out of energy desperately though, more and more Zerg flooding its way across the map. I think Killer has just got too much for Best to handle right now. The Silverback Gorilla's running out of steam.
Yeah, he almost managed to take this little high ground here. Had he been able to take that spot, you know, that would be the optimal place to take your fourth base here as Best, and Best has already run out of minerals in his main and natural. The walls are closing in here. Best has fought a great defensive game here, bashing back Killer over and over again, but Killer playing a great control game, you know, just holding positions and taking fights that always favor him, sniping the units that he can while he can. You know, getting these observers is fantastic right now. You really need all the gas that you can muster here for Templars, and having to spend any of that on observers is very annoying. And now we've got these defilers here as well. I just don't think you can trade efficiently now that possibly we're gonna get plagues on the army as well. That just adds a whole nother layer of difficulty here for Best, and I just don't think he's gonna be able to overcome that.
Yeah, certainly another level of complexity that's just going to be too much to surmount here for him in this game. And unfortunately for him, I don't think he can really do much anymore. He's going to come out and make a big fight, his chance of it. There's a plague going down on this Protoss infantry. Killer spreading his forces as much as possible to dodge some of these storms, forcing the resources from the Protoss player before he can fully engage the Zerg army head on and not really have that much storm left over to do so. We see now a few waves of units coming from the Western Threshold being swallowed up by the Archon and Storm, somehow seeming like Best has a fighting chance, but there's just wave after wave coming from that Western Threshold. And unfortunately, Best doesn't have a mining base to set up right now. He only has one base mining. The main and natural now pretty much mined out. Needs to take this fourth base and is unable to do so, so becoming more and more dried up as time goes on. And meanwhile, Killer still mining from all these bases right now, so absolute powerhouse of a Zerg being thrown at the Protoss player, and he's just withering and dying. GG finally called.
GG. Best upset here. Killer manages to take that game for his team. All right, Killer proving me wrong. I'm always happy to be surprised or to see upsets in a game, but you know, I expected that Best was going to be able to take down Killer there. I was talking to Shun about my predictions before the cast, and that was one that I was pretty certain was going to happen. I was pretty sure that Best was going to take down Killer and that Light would be able to take out Hyuk, but now I'm not so sure here. Maybe Hyuk can pull something out here in this best of one and take down Light on La Campanella.
Well, he's gone for an overpull against a wall in, but it's cross map, so I'm not sure how I feel about this, Sam.
Yeah, that's not a good opener here. What do you think about this overpull? You think he's just scared of a marine being hopped over his mineral patch and, you know, sitting behind? Because we've seen that before.
Yeah, no, that's literally it. That's literally it. He's scared of that. I guess he also gives himself an opportunity to like kind of punish 14cc if that was a possibility, but he probably wouldn't see 14cc here. So I think it is purely just the factor of this marine being hopped over and wanting to like deny that. It's kind of hilarious when you think about it that they're actually playing overpull. They're playing overpull just because of this map right now. Like, that's crazy for me to think about. But I will imagine he will be trying to take advantage of the early pull timing by going for some kind of early tech play with this early gas as well. So he may still find some use of this overpull. Who knows? If he, I still think it's really bad for him that he had to go for this overpull against Light on this map purely for that denying the drill of the marine over the back. That's nightmare fuel for me.
Yeah, I would have liked to see him send the drone a little earlier and confirm what's going on, and then just build two lings. Because, you know, if you go overpull and just build two lings, that deals with the problem, and you can get back into your economy as soon as possible. He's built 4 lings here, which is still not bad, but it is like you said, a bit rough here with the opener that Light's gone for. He's been pretty darn greedy here, and he's just completely getting away with it.
Yeah, I mean, he could have also like hoped that Light was going for some kind of like 8 racks play and maybe punish that a little bit, or at the very least line himself up nicely with it. But unfortunately, he's not gone for that, and he can't actually drone scout if it hurts his economy too much. So he has to take the gamble, just make the links no matter what. But then Light has the opportunity of playing like this, and you're just behind, and that just feels like so bad as Zerg. So yeah, he's unfortunately just like got himself into a bad situation just to deflect any kind of early shenanigans from Light, and now he's gonna have to navigate his way out of that. And as long as Light doesn't make any significant blunders, I imagine he will be very strong in this mid game coming up.
No, you're totally right. My bad. Drone scout doesn't really make sense here with the overpull for sure. Too much lost economy already, and it's just not looking good here. I mean, Light, even if you get an early advantage, seems nearly unbeatable as a Zerg player, but with the advantage falling in Light's favor, it's really looking dire here. We're gonna go straight into Spire. Everything's been revealed, and you know what that means, right? You're talking about it earlier. He's gonna be able to delay these comsats for a very long time. That's another massive advantage for Light. He's just not gonna have to build those. He's gonna have, you know, 4 more SCVs here to work with.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It might not seem like a big deal to maybe some of the viewers at home that are less familiar with the ins and outs of this game, but it is a really big deal being able to just make those at your leisure, not having to make them both at the same time, and just making make them whenever they feel convenient to you. It smooths out your economy so much, because basically what we're saying is when you make that comsat, you're not able to produce SCVs for 2 cycles during that time. So you're missing out on building 2 SCVs while building that comsat and paying for the comsat, which is 50-50. So you're losing a lot of economy to build these comsats. So being able to make those at your leisure is a very significant thing for Terran, who's usually so rigid in what they can build and when they can build it, which kind of limits their build order potential.
It looks like he did get those comsats here and got the scan going just to, you know, confirm, make sure that the Spire units are popping out here, that there's no immediate Hydralisk Den being thrown down after that got scouted. and he's going to be content here knowing that just pure Mutalisk play coming out of Killer. Killer going to come across the map and spot this little move out here from Light. He's got some Sunkens back at home, so he's kind of safe in that regard. And he's taking this back third base, and I was actually talking about this beforehand and mentioning that I think Killer, or excuse me, Hyuk stands very little chance of winning on this map. Oh god, and Mutalisk just flying into its death as well. I think he stands very little chance on this map, specifically on La Campanella, because it's very tempting to go for the quick third base here and get that third gas, but Light is just so good at doing one of these tank pushes. Like, he could just get a tank over here really quick and deny that gas, and that would put him in such a bad position.
No, you're spot on with your astute observation with the tank push thing. And one thing I would like to add as well, even though it does, I agree with you with that, it is still Hyuk, and Hyuk is basically the hook. The hook Zerg is basically what his name means. He's the hook Zerg, and he's not necessarily a great player, but he has this way of getting his hook into you sometimes, and he can kind of, you know, somehow find his way into getting an upset. So it's possible somehow we could see him get his hooks into Light coming up, but it will be a dire game for him if he's not able to make something. Comes in on his Bioforce, beautiful hold shot. Micro with his mirrors, splitting the shots perfectly each time, taking 2 Marines down each volley from his first 4 to 5 consecutive volleys, taking out all of that Bioforce relatively efficiently as well is Hyuk with these 9 meters left over. So not too bad of a trade for him, actually taking a pretty decent supply lead in a sense, because even though he's slightly behind, that's indicative of a pretty sizable advantage for the Zerg player. So not the worst of trades for Hyuk, and maybe can start to find his way into some kind of an even game. He's still not quite out of the woods yet, but with some good micro, he's finding his way into a better and better position.
Wow, color me impressed, man. That was really, really good by Hyuk. He took that fight brilliantly. He didn't miss a single shot with the mutas. He brought the lings in. That was not a lot of lings, just 4 lings coming in. Actually did a pretty good job distracting the Marines there, and he cleaned that up, losing maximum 2 mutas to get rid of that entire Bioforce. So, you know, really, really well done. He's got some good swipes on this next force coming out. He's gonna try and go in now. I don't know if he can do too much damage here. He's gonna get a couple of turrets down, and with those 2 turrets, he's kind of opened up this position, but Light is not gonna allow this position to be completely overrun. He brings back the full Marine force and takes over this spot, and this is good delaying tactics here from Hyuk. You know, he's got the hive already on the way. He's kind of droning up back at home. He's still adding on a few more mutas, but he's gonna get this transition going before Light can fully switch over into those science vessels.
Yeah, Hyuk's an interesting character. He's one of those guys where it can look like he's really having a hard time of it, and all of a sudden he just like does a right hook and the other guy just falls over and is just knocked out, and Hyuk's just there like, yeah, Hyuk.
Just Hyuk things, man. Hyuk gonna get in here, start to pick off some more free Marines. It's very tough to get any free kills on Light with mutas, man. He is so good at controlling these groups of Marines and medics, making sure that they're always in a tight line, you know, with the stim at the correct time. Very, very difficult to get anything done against that, but time and time again, Hyuk seems to be getting these good little trades here where he can get nice swipes that aren't being properly denied or stopped by Light, and I don't see Light going for a tank push this game. Actually, he's just gone straight up into vessels here with the floating factory. I guess Hyuk is just going to be allowed to, you know, sit here and mine on the third base.
Well, I should hope so. I mean, 600 APM's muta micro, if that doesn't get you that, I don't know what will. And I think Hyuk is showing you that, you know, if you put that little bit extra effort in, you know, you can make some great things happen. And Hyuk is a very good Mutalisk micro player, and he does do some rather phenomenal things When he's playing his best, he's amazing. When he's playing his worst, he's a joke. But somehow, somewhen, he can take out the best of the best, and he's doing that right now to Light. Can he go all the way? There's 2 Science Vessels and 4 Scourge. So both of these Science Vessels can be sniped, but so far, Light doing a great job of coming over here, sniping this gas while keeping these Science Vessels safe. The Radiant going to be going down on that Lurker, moved in position to try and ward that away. For the time being, we'll keep that gas alive. But no, finally, Light going to come over here and snuff that out as well, limiting the gas potential of Hyuk here. It's going to be devastating for him. He needs gas desperately in this matchup. Has a Sunken there to kind of protect that for the time being. Is also trying to get these Defilers out to prevent any further damage done to him. But Light doing a pretty good job of trying to get this 3rd base online while limiting the gas potential of Hyuk, and that will start to afford Light, I think, a pretty sizable chance at just kind of eliminating Hyuk. Despite, but wait for this big bomb potential on these vessels, but Hyuk wasn't paying attention. Hyuk has Hyuked himself and didn't get the hook on those vessels, unfortunately, and that could have been the one thing that he needed to keep his tempo going in this game.
Tempo shift kind of going into Light's favor a little bit here. He got those 2 really prime irradiates there on the first couple of lurkers. Slowed down that gas. Oh, gonna lose a couple of vessels. Very nice. Okay, Hyuk makes up for that earlier mistake by picking off 2 vessels here. All of the irradiates were spent, but that's still great value here for Hyuk's Scourge.
Yeah, he's doing a great job of still staying in the tempo curve of the game, so to speak, and has every fighting chance going forward. He is still a pro gamer at the end of the day, so as long as he can get to this late game phase where he has Defilers, he has Lurkers, he's going to have a chance at getting an upset here, but he's still going to have an uphill battle of it. Light is just such a more potent late game player than Hyuk. Hyuk is definitely still a formidable opponent for Light to fight against right now, but he's supply blocked. Light has just so much more experience in this phase of the game than Hyuk. Hyuk would have much rather had won in the mid game with his Mutalist Micro, and now starting to have to worry about Defiler usage and getting all his bases set up and warding away the vessels constantly. It's a lot more for him to handle. He has a high APM, he has a very good unit control, but Light is just so much more of an experienced player, knowing when to come in and disrupt the Zerg at key moments here. And oh, there's beautiful catch on these vessels though by Hyuk, limiting the potential of Light. Both of these remaining vessels also have no more energy, so it's going to really slow down the assault and siege here of Light and give Hyuk a little bit of breathing room here, Sam.
Oh, that could have gone so wrong had those few Scourge not connected. They can be so dumb sometimes, but ends up getting those connections. Very, very nice. We've got Hydra, Lurker, Defiler coming out now, and we should start to see Plagues, so this can get very, very cost efficient. We're gonna see him take a little position out here on the front, get a Dark Swarm down, and maybe a Plague as well, and then start to try and take this 4th base here behind this position. He may be able to get that done. Nice. First Plague comes out, not the greatest, but here's that 4th base immediately taken by Hyuk. I love that.
Yeah, no, it's looking really good, and he's shifting into this sort of like Hydra Defiler style. I mean, that's going to really give him a lot of cost efficiency going into this late game phase, and that might be just what he needs to come back in this game and secure a win against Light. Light's a very formidable opponent, so having this cost-efficient army of these Hydras and Plagues and Swarm might be just what he needs, and right now he needs to be careful. Losing these Hydras for free against him is not what he wants at all. The Defiler's lagging behind, but now going to start to synchronize. The gas does get sniped at that 9 o'clock position. A beautiful play goes down onto the Bioforces. Not really anything to catch these vessels, though. Would have been nice if he could kind of force the issue, plague these vessels, and keep starting to snipe those, but right now, not really many tools that we can see being brought to bear by Hyuk, so it seems like still getting the better of him thus far.
Yeah, that was not the greatest trade there by Hyuk. He definitely could have pulled that together a little bit more cleanly. He's gonna okay, throw down a Darkstorm on top of this. Doesn't really help the Hydras to kill the Marines very well, but the Lings will be there with the Lurker to kind of put things together here. Some tanks are moving out now. We've got another Defiler moving forward, looking for a Plague. Doesn't have it just yet. And this is where things start to get very, very scary for the Hydros Defiler players. Once you get that, good clump of tanks, the pushing forward is just going to get really, really difficult. Oh man, that Nidus goes down. He snipes the Defiler as well. Looks like this army will get clean, but those are some really quality snipes there by Light. Just getting rid of that Nidus, getting rid of that Defiler. That's a ton of gas to a Hydralisk Defiler player. Gas is so key here. He does have that 4th base online, but he doesn't have that gas mining just yet.
Wow, we're seeing some crazy things happening out. That Snyder snipe was insane from Light. I don't understand how players of this caliber can keep up with understanding the timings of when they can come in and get away with exploiting the Zerg as they do. I certainly see Flash and Light do that better than most people over the years, but it does seem to be like you get to a certain level as Terran, you can really start to abuse the Zerg, but look at Hyuk right now, though. He's not really able to control his units very efficiently in the center of the map, and he's just given so much ground to Light over and over again, allowing him to come in here to this 9 o'clock position for free. Take out this gas yet again and shut down the mining here as well. It's going to be really tough for Hyuk if he can't stabilize position. Darkswarm coming in with links underneath, going to be getting on top of some of these tank positions, and another Darkswarm as well. Plague does go down on a few of these medics and one of those science vessels, but it's not quite enough just yet. Now here comes the main attack as more links starting to come on. He's already starting to, but here comes the eraser trick on these drones left at this base. Not really going to be the money shot that he needs, though. Right now, not many drones for him to get, and actually pulled those science vessels out without getting any damage from them. So he actually killed some of his own units with those irradiated science vessels. A little bit of a mistake there from Light, a little bit of a hotkey issue, but nonetheless going to be in a decent position in this game still.
Oh man, that was pretty funny. A lot of medics go down there kind of for free. Some of those were plagued, so they didn't have any health on them, and the irradiate just cleans them up. But Light is just expanded out like crazy here. He's got so many barracks to work with right now. He's even taking a base towards that center right. Looks like Hyuk gonna be on top of that, dealing with that base right away. So he may end up killing a lot of SCVs here, but he's just now getting his 4th gas online. His 3rd gas has been denied for like the 4th time this game, I think, which is kind of crazy. Just over and over and over again, he's been unable to keep this gas, to hold this gas geyser. And another drop gonna go down over there, it looks like. I don't know if he rebuilt that Nidus or not. Is he gonna be able to hold on over here? He does have that Nidus, but it's gonna be targeted.
Wow, he's going to get it. Even if he gets the Dark Fighter for it and Darkswarm, it doesn't matter. He's going to be able to target that building down either way. And Light coming in here and punishing this position once again. Just using this whole 9 o'clock position, just one whole win condition for him in this game, and forcing the issue from Hyuk again and again, and not really having to worry about laying siege to the Zerg, and instead forcing the Zerg to come to him by abusing the terrain here on this map. Such a Terran-favored map, I find. I really feel like Zerg struggle on this map. I don't really like it too much myself, and I feel like Light just knows how to abuse it to the absolute utmost of his ability, and now going to be coming down and cutting off this force before he can get in position. Now desperate swarms will be laid. A beautiful plague though on its bioforce of Light, now going to be forcing him to full retreat. Swarms coming forward as the Hydras get on top of this tank siege line before they can get into setup on the eastern side, and now going to be coming in and cleaning up the rest of these forces as well. So beautiful trades from Hyuk, can be taking out a lot of the potency out of this army in the middle of the map right now, and cleaning up some of those tanks, giving him more and more of a fighting chance here. But losing this 9 o'clock base is still a little bit of a problem for him.
Oh, a little bit of a problem. He lost a Hydralisk Den even. A lot of the tech just kind of disappearing here for Hyuk. He will be able to shut down this base, but how much does this actually matter? We've got so many bases around the map for Light right now. He's going to be picking off some pretty free tanks here in the middle of the map. Gets those killed off, but tons of irradiates going down here. He does get a plague on some of these vessels, but the value right now from Light with these irradiates is absolutely insane. Getting rid of all of the high-tech units, all of even irradiating Hydras at this point. That's how far we've come right now. Light just on the verge of taking this victory. He's even added on a bunch of Firebats, realizing that there's just not too much left over here for Hyuk. He's going to have to rely on, you know, pretty Ling-heavy army here to be able to fight back.
Yeah, he sent some drones out to expand to the southeast quadrant of the map in desperation, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to get these bases set up. And Light saw those drones in transit as well, and has his own SCVs coming down into his bottom right base. So I don't think that Light's much of a sharing is caring kind of guy, but I have a feeling he's not going to want to share these minerals with Hyuk soon.
Yeah, I think he's gonna make him fight for those, and that's not a fight that Hyuk can win at this point. He's gonna end up losing these drones down here. He's still got this base in the bottom left, but that's so many vessels. The center left still has not been retaken. This base is now mining for light. Citizens arrest there. SCVs take out that drone, getting rid of him. And yeah, there's just nothing left here. Hyuk, 71 supply. He's 100 supply behind. He builds 1 Muta to try and snipe some vessels, but not really controlling that. Is going to end up going down. We're just seconds away from GG here as Hyuk tires out. He runs out of fuel, runs out of energy here against Light and gets taken down. Another win on the Light for Team Light. Another win on the board for Team Light. What am I saying? Okay, Senna versus Anna here for our set number 4. That was pretty much what we expected there with Light on La Compagnie. Pretty difficult map to take a win, especially as a player like Hyuk, who's just a little bit behind where Light is, kind of technically and in his overall gameplay. Definitely displaying some really amazing Mutalist control in that game, but just wasn't enough to take down Light.
Right, as a whole package of a player, not quite up to the same standard as Light. Does have that fantastic Mutalist micro. 600 APM was what he was playing up the majority of that game while doing that Mutalist micro. Very stellar stuff from him. Really, really well executed play. It does show why he is the hook Zerg. He can get these upsets. You know, he does have that puncher's chance where he can just, like, you know, catch the champion by the chin and just take him out in one, you know, like death-defying punch. And unfortunately, not able to land the hook quite as solidly as you'd like to and snuff Light out. But nonetheless, going to be seeing Anna here try her luck. What would you like to see here? A Protoss or a Zerg victory soon?
I'd, of course, like to see a tied matchup, so I'm going to be cheering for Senna here. Team Best lagging a little bit behind. Still got lots of games to go, though. And yeah, we're gonna get this this ZVP going here on Neosulfid. I personally don't really like this map of Zerg. There's a few too many places for Protoss to tuck their zealots, I think, in this position. But actually, we're not going to see Anna go for a gateway play here, which is a little bit surprising to me.
Yeah, although going for the gateway first expand does require a lot more knowledge in the early game phases of the game, and maybe Anna wanted to just simplify the possibilities. And given that the fact that this is a flat map as well with no ramp, maybe that came into consideration here, wanting to simplify things with the Forge Fast Expand. I can't fault it. It's still a very strong way of playing, just limiting your potential for pressure in the early game and also not having such a sizable force of Zealots to come out into the mid game with the Zealot leg timing and being able to afford you a much more proactive role in the matchup rather than sitting back and being passive until you finally move out for that third.
Yeah, maybe. So I'm gonna take the third base here over at that high ground gas location. That's a pretty good base to take. I feel like turtling that location is decent here. It does kind of leave you in a position where you can take that fourth base over at the center left area, that mineral only base, and it can lead you into a really big macro game, but it's also possible to Hydra bust here as well. So keeping this probe alive in the main is super important, as always, for Anna. She sees the lair. That's big information there, and is gonna just keep that rolling around. Seems like Senna not too concerned about that. She's only got 2 lings here. She's just gonna keep chasing this probe without really focusing on killing off that scout. She's not really going to be able to hide anything here, although she doesn't really seem intent on doing so.
Right, and I would actually say if she wanted to Hydra bust, I'd even consider making the third hatchery at 6 o'clock or something and having a really fast rally point to the Protoss front here.
Yeah, you do see a lot of Zerg players actually take that bottom left base on high ground, that as their third instead. Even when the Protoss is in this position, it feels really far away to me, but either of those 2 bases are really good to turtle on. Very difficult to get up any of these ramps here in PVZ. On both sides, it's difficult to break either of these bases.
Yeah, it looks like not going to be able to catch this scouting probe. Always good to keep that alive and see exactly how many lings there are and stay active and come around and then check how many drones are being made at these bases. Very important for the Protoss player to be doing constantly. It limits the range of play of what the Zerg can go for, but is actually going to be catching that probe before coming in here and confirming the second gas timing and how many drones there are. So it does limit some of the information available to Anna here.
Senna spreading out her lings everywhere, making sure there's no Zealot on the field for now. I don't think we had an Overlord just sitting right in front of the natural, so she doesn't know if Zealots headed out here. But she's going to be safe regardless. There is nothing on the map for Anna right now. She's just playing it safe, keeping getting a second cannon here, you know, making sure that she's got this Corsair at a reasonable time. Gonna come across the map, get that scouting information. She will see the Spire here finishing up just as she arrives, so shouldn't be able to get an Overlord here. Just gonna have to back away and consider the possibility of mutas, but I don't think it's gonna be a full-on mutalist play here. We've just now taken that second gas.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a full-on Ogre Zerg style of Mutalisk necessarily. We may see a transition into making more of those mutas in the coming phase of the game, but it won't be a crazy Mutalisk Scourge timing to overwhelm Senna here. There'll be probably a more traditional amount of Scourge being made, just the initial 4 to ward away and catch the first 2 Corsairs, potentially not able to get the exact intercept vector on that Corsair as it makes its way. There are another 2 Scourge trying to catch that Corsair, but not quite on intercept path, and unfortunately Senna dropping the ball there a little bit and not able to catch any of these Corsairs.
Not good to lose these first couple of Scourge. It's definitely understandable. You know, you've got a lot going on right now, trying to get your macro cycles going, trying to make sure you don't get Overlord supply blocked and all that, but having those 2 Scourge available really does make it harder for the Protoss to move out with their Scourge or with their Corsairs here, and we're getting to the point now where DTs are out on the map as well. Oh, wait a second, no Overlord in the natural. Oh, this could be really bad for Senna here, but the DT's actually chasing the lings for a second, and she sees that. There's an Overlord popping out just in time. Oof, crisis averted.
Yeah, the Starcraft gods were kind to Senna here this day, and although the Hydras are evacuating, and now the DT actually slipping by, did she kind of outplay herself here? The DT might still be able to slip into the main. Oh, there's another Overlord that's still moving away from the main node. Needs to turn around quickly. Oh no, this is devastating. I can't believe what we're seeing right now, saying this is so unfortunate for Senna. Any damage right now is unnecessary damage that she could have prevented. Isn't taking too much right now, just a few drones went down, but some of these hatching drones are going to be sniped as well. Oh, this is devastating damage done to Senna right now. Also losing all this mining time, and now some Zealots coming into the natural as well. She's falling apart, saying.
Oh, we've all been here as a Zerg player. It certainly feels bad to allow a DT into your main base, and it's incredibly hard to hold the follow-up attack as well. There's the DT now with the Overlord speed done. She should be able to clean this up, but she's taken just immense amounts of damage right now. That is that is not a good look here. This is not a good way to start out. Everything was looking super standard up to this point, but that DT just ran roughshod over this Zerg economy here.
Yeah, that DT was a very tough nut to swallow for Team Best here going forward. They kind of lost a lot of their chances in this game as a result of that really unnecessary levels of damage taken by Senna here. She's going to be punching herself, unhappy about that. She needs to just clean herself up and get on with it, but now starting to pump out a few drones. Needs to kind of resaturate though. There's a lot of mineral smoothing issues here. So many drones in the natural and not quite enough in the main. Needs to kind of get that sorted out.
Quite a few Corsairs moving around the top side, looking for some stray Overlords here. I don't see any Scourge on the map, so she might be able to get in and clean out some of these OVs. Possibly supply blocking Senna again, who's actually supply blocked 69 of 69 right now. What is this saturation in the main base? It's really important that, you know, you not only prevent damage from occurring with the initial attack, but you also reset properly and get your saturation going once again, and she's kind of failed to do that. Okay, finally sending drones here to the main. That's looking a bit better, but she's losing overlords like crazy here. She's gonna lose another one, it looks like, in the main base. No, looks like keeping that alive for now, but really painful here. Not able to produce for quite a long time, banking a lot of minerals and gas here is Senna, and she hasn't been able to produce any lurkers here. A lot of zealots are making their way into the natural. This could be really bad for her. Yeah, there's no good building positioning here in the natural. Jumping right on top of this. Some lurker eggs are going to be made to try and hold on here, but more overloads are going down. So much chaos happening right now. Senna is just starting to really lose control of this position. Zealots are in here. They're not going to run by into the main, which probably would have been optimal, but Anna's just getting a ton of damage.
Yeah, this is really unfortunate for her. She did not have the proper SimCity required to defend this. If she had a Hydras in a better formation, she could have then used the Lurker eggs to just buffer block and would have been fine, but didn't have that set up in advance, so really dropped the ball here. Finally getting the Lurkers out, but the damage has been done. There is still a chance, though, if Anna's not really paying too much mind to it. The lurkers can just be pushed across the map right now and set up a very strong contain. So there is some hope here for Team Best going forward. If we can snipe a few more, if we can stop too many of these overlords from going down while also setting up this lurker contain, maybe there is a lot of hope here for Team Best going forward.
Yeah, you really can't allow this lurker contain to get set up so perfectly here as Anna. It's going to be very hard to break through. You're going to have to kill some of your own buildings and as such just to get out of this location. Looks like more overlords are going to go down in the natural. That's so painful. She does manage to catch these zealots though, and that's removing the kind of last threat on the map. That means that she's going to be able to rally all of her forces here to the front and really focus on dealing with the units that are coming out here for Anna. Stop her from actually getting out of this contain right now.
Yeah, and this is interesting because she's being contained right at the time she should have been able to start to come out onto the map. So she does have a lot of storms banked up, but it's going to be really tough for her to get out into this choke and start fighting back against these arcs of lurkers and hydras. Starting to come out now with the first wave of dragoons, starting to snipe some of these forward lurkers and hydras. Here come a nice little storm to try and ward away these hydras. A nice storm dodge from Senna there, not losing too many of these hydras in the process, keeping the pressure on target, firing these goons one at a time, trying to limit the potency. Beautiful storm there though, really mopping up the majority of these hydras. Now looks like Anna wants to come out here. She smells a little bit of blood, wants to take out many of these lurkers as possible before the lurker contain can get too strong, coming out in full force with these high energy Templars trying to overwhelm this position before too many reinforcements can get brought down to the southern threshold and keep this contain going. So it looks like Anna is going to be breaking out onto the map with this goon Templar army, but here comes a few more reinforcing hydras to try and punish this and snipe some of these key units.
Man, you know, it's really painful here for Senna. Losing the number of overlords she's lost this game, I think really made the difference here. During that containment, while she was cleaning up the zealots on the map, she lost so many overlords. She got incredibly supply blocked and she just wasn't able to reinforce that position. We should have seen so many hydras pouring across the map and more lurkers being built. You can see 1,400 gas in the bank right now. That should be, you know, at least 10 more lurkers in that defense of the containment there, but she just didn't have it. Now she's gonna eat a huge storm. Oh my goodness, Anna just removing so many hydras from the map, and these lurkers are being morphed here at the front. I think Anna, while taking this third, can probably just push across the map and win this game now. There is a pretty decent position for Senna to fall back to. You know, you can just kind of clog up this area with lurkers and hydras and hope to defend these 4 bases, but it's going to be a real uphill battle now for Senna after losing the position on that containment.
Yeah, if I was Senna, I would feel like this game wouldn't slide down very easily for me. I'm not too happy about it. even as just a Zerg onlooker here, but it is what it is. She's making the best out of a bad situation, starting to get some kind of a foothold in the center of the map with these formations of lurkers, but it does allow Anna to just come out now, take this false high ground third, while also still harassing these overlords, still getting a few of these overlords and supply blocking Senna in the process. Kind of unbelievably at 15 minutes, still getting supply blocks onto the Zerg player. Kind of really unfortunate to have to deal with that at this phase in the game, but this is the state of affairs. We do have a hive on the way, which is a good response to an uncontested third, so some hope in the chamber for Team Best, but it's looking bleak.
If I'm Anna right now, I think I'm just taking the entire bottom side of the map, right? Take that mineral only, take the high ground base, just cannon everything. You know that the Zerg player is not thinking about attacking right now. The way that they're building up is towards that late game hive and setting up a huge lurker field, but she's just gonna push through here right now, diving on top of these lurkers that have yet to receive the blessing of the Dark Swarm here. So the Dragoon Fire just gonna cut through them, killing off a lot, but trading out a ton of units as well. And Anna really doesn't have that much left over. She's kind of out of zealots right now. She doesn't have, oh god, another DT running into the main. Are you kidding me right now? A ton of Hydras actually being sent back to deal with that when they should be at the front lines. For fifth base actually going to go down here for Senna as well, but lurkers being brought forward to try and keep that alive. A base is going to go down at the bottom left side for Anna, so she is taking my advice a little bit, you know, snagging that additional base, but I think it's time to actually head home. You don't want to just fight with pure Dragoon and Templar here. You might end up getting overwhelmed.
Yeah, you definitely can get overwhelmed. You do need a very strong count of Dragoons constantly, and the main goal of Protoss is to keep skirmishing with the Zerg while reinforcing and never really losing the ball of units. But if you do kind of overstep your mark and start losing those Dragoons, you can just like lose the game very quickly. So we do another DT in this third base location, get probably more than it should, and that's going to be really tough for the Team Best to process here, because there's a lot of missed opportunities in this game, and I really do feel like Senna could have overcame Ana in this game, but it's looking like it's going to be more and more of an Ana victory as time progresses.
Yeah, there were opportunities here in this game. You know, Ana did not play perfectly. There were things that she, mistakes that were made, but overall, just playing a more solid macro game here. Macro PVZ, handling the DT play really well. Killing off overlords constantly. Just very standard. Solid play from Anna. Overcomes Senna here. GG is called. Team Best goes down once again. Team Light really taking the lead here in the series. Okay, set number 5. Team Light versus Team Best. With Sock versus Ruin. We've got a cross map situation here on Retro, which definitely feels like a fighting spirit map. This is probably the better spawn here. I prefer this spawn for Terran than you know, kind of a closer spawn. I feel like it's a little easier to play here. What do you think about that?
It can complicate things spawning close to the Protoss player on Retro with the way the bases are lined up. And like you say, it is kind of like a fighting spirit-esque style of map as well. But yeah, on this map, maybe cross map will simplify things for Terran. We do have this massive wide open center of the map, which can be so difficult to navigate and set up for lots of flanks and counterattacks and such. So it does complicate things a little bit in that regard. But interestingly, we're going to be seeing this forward gateway from Ruin, pile on the high ground, gateway on the low ground, affording him some earlier pressure in this map by having a slightly faster rally point, maybe coming in here and punishing and a bunker expand style of play from Sark or something. And with the cross spawn position, also had the opportunity to go for a 12 Nexus here, with it being a little bit harder for Sark to come here and punish that, but not going to be seeing that here today.
Yeah, he's going to get in here and see the barracks being built. He's going to start to harass that a little bit. But Sock is a very solid Terran player. I don't think he's going to take too much damage from this early aggression that we're going to see. He should be able to push away this probe as well. Sok was one of those players we were looking at as like potentially, you know, one of the greats here, one of the players that could really carry the mantle for Terran in this new age. However, he hasn't really shown the great results that we were anticipating. He's fallen a little bit by the wayside as of late. We'll see if he's actually able to perform here against Ruin or not.
Yeah, I would like to see it though. He's a really stellar player. One player that I haven't seen a lot of in recent times though is Ruin, and I'm happy to see him play once again. He is a very strong player, and not really someone I see all the time, but when I do see him, it's really quite interesting to watch him play. And someone of Sok's caliber though, very formidable. So we'll be putting Ruin to the test here. Not going to be letting that probe scale up the ramp to confirm anything. There is only one SCV on gas, but look at this engineering blade block, going to be slowing Ruin down quite a significant portion. Already wanted to build the Nexus by now and has already started to deviate from his planned build order. So the Terran player being the one to throw Ruin off, and Ruin deciding to throw on the Citadel of a Dune down instantly. Whether or not that was planned, I'm not so sure, but it's going to be a very fast DT timing from Ruin, maybe even hitting a 525 DT timing at this rate.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy. Ruin really going off the tracks here, off the rails. Gonna try something a little bit wild. We'll see if Sok kind of sniffs this out here. He did have the probe. One thing to mention, he did have the probe on the ramp, right? He kind of kept that probe there for a bit of time to keep that SCV from scouting, and that might tip Sok that something crazy is coming here, because now the Dragoon's out, it's going to be focused primarily on denying the scout instead of going across the map. And, you know, he sees that there's no range here. We've got the DT, or the Templar Archives coming. The bunker's not done. That's funny. He's thinking about canceling that, actually. And that might actually be a good idea at this point, because there's not going to be that range. These Marines can just fight back this Dragoon right now. Because it doesn't have range, it can't actually take on these Marines. And he might just cancel that and throw it on an eBay here, kind of realizing what Ruin has gone for.
Yes, he needs to kind of wake up very quickly to what he's up against, because if he doesn't, he's going to just die. He does have a lot of chances to defend this. If he makes, if he somehow makes make an eBay really quickly and does make 2 turrets, he can defend pretty easily, as long as he makes those a backup turret, and that forces a Ruin to commit and then loses after breaking the first turret. But he can also defend this with mines, and we do see the mines being the option of choice. So a lot of mines can be thrown down at the front, and that's going to ward away too much damage from these DTs for the time being, but it's still going to kind of force the hand of Sok to kind of respond to Ruin. But I think that Sok's going to get the better end of this as long as he doesn't take any damage from these DTs.
Yeah, I think this is the most optimal play. Really, Sok showing his caliber here. We're going to see a Dragoon come out across the map and potentially just run through mines, try to eat as many mine shots as possible, and open up a path into the base, and maybe that will work. But actually, no, he sent the Dragoons back home. So this DT is going to end up getting eaten by these mines. There it is. Second mine blows up. There it goes. Sok has successfully defended the first DT here. Oh, he accidentally lifted that off. He's trying to build an emergency comsat station here. I guess he didn't fully know what was going on, but he did do the right play. He went for that quicker academy here. He got the mines out in front for that safety, and now with the addition of this extra few mines here at the front and the comsats coming down, he should be 100% fine. First mine connects, second mine connects. He's gonna get another mine here. No, that mine does not connect. This is a perfect wall. Okay, so he actually can't get by this engineering bay here with that DT, and he should have the scan now ready. Gets the one mine. Second mine gonna come out here. Oh, it does finish off that DT. One scan comes down. He should be able to finish this off. Great block there with the vulture just to clean that DT up. And this has been absolutely fantastic watching Sok hold this. Just crazy, crazy good.
Yeah, really stellar stuff from Sake. Walking the tightrope. It kind of, this is how you play StarCraft. You make the bare minimum required to survive and no more, because making too much just, kind of slows you down. You want to always be trying to build more and get stronger as Terran and kind of grow as fast as possible. And the only way to do that is to cut corners and walk that tightrope. And Sark's doing that to the absolute T right now and has navigated his way to this mid-game phase against the early aggression of Ruin quite perfectly, and Ruin not really getting the value he desired from these early tech investments. So instead now going to be settling for this 6 o'clock expansion at a much more modest timing of like past 7 minutes. So really going to be behind the economic curve of this game, as Sark now starting to make his way onto the map with this first few tanks to put a little bit of pressure onto the pros player here. So
Yeah, cutting those early corners, like you said, is so important to making a push like this work, because you have to get this out as soon as possible before the critical mass of Dragoons is here, that 3 tanks can get picked off really quickly. And these Dragoons, these early Dragoons, are already badly damaged. They're going to be pushed down onto low ground, and now there's just 1 GT and a few Dragoons here. That's all he's going to have to be able to hold this off. He's trying to deal as much damage to this 1 tank as he can, and he managed to get some pretty good shots off on that, but there you go. Has to cancel the 3rd base. Sok just dominating right now in this game.
Your Sark's like playing like an absolute madman right now. Ruin's kind of falling apart. There's a little bit of a block issue as well. Going to be coming into their natural expansion and getting a few of these probe kills. Our mine was laid. If he was diligent enough to lay a few of these, more of these mines closer to the mineral field, maybe could have got splash damage onto those probes. But look, even now having a hard time clearing up this 1 vulture, getting so many additional probes. 6 kills on that vulture before it finally went down. Ruin also supply blocked for the time being, and kind of in a bit of a disarray is Ruin in this game. Ruin is in ruins, saying, I think pun intended, very much so.
Yeah, 3 or 4 pylons went down at that 3rd base. So he lost a ton of supply there. He lost the probe saturation he had at that natural. So many probes went down with that 6 kill vulture, and more probes are going to fall here as well. We're going to have a drop in the main. Ruin just absolutely not ready for this at all. These vultures are going to land here in the main completely unscouted, and they're going to get a ton of damage here. This could just be the end.
He's going to lay mines first as well, I think, at the gateways. Or maybe actually not. He's going to come straight in and just snipe the probes. Yeah, it's a wise choice. Either way, he's going to lay some mines as an afterthought, but the optimal play there would have been laying mines at the gateway and then sniping all the probes. Not getting as much probe damage as I would have liked to have seen from Sark, but it's still getting the job done. He's forcing the probe transfer to the natural expansion. He's denying a lot of mining time here, being annoying, taxing the multitasking of Ruin as well in the process, while he's himself is setting up the base at the 12 o'clock. He's right now defending by attacking and keeping Ruin back in his base and not able to even think about coming out onto the map to stop him from taking his 3rd base right now, which is being set up nicely. SCVs being transferred, 90 supply to 96, both armories spinning, 4 factories. We have a starport. Vessel tech will be online soon if you wanted to make some vessels, or maybe just get the upgrades very early timing. So pretty much everything going in Sark's favor right now.
I want to circle all the way back around to what we began this cast, which was discussing the kind of curve of this map, how this map works in PvP. And as you can see, Sok gonna easily snag that 3rd. Once he's got that location on high ground, he only has 2 locations to defend, and then as he pushes out, he could potentially take his 4th base at that center left. That's really all you need as a Terran player, is those 4 bases, those key 4 bases, and that surround those 4 bases kind of surround your main, which makes it incredibly hard for any attacks to come in. It's very difficult for Ruin to break those locations. He's actually gone double robo, so maybe looking for kind of a Hail Mary style, couple or 2, 3, 4 shuttles into the main to try and get some damage. I'm not sure what he's gonna do with this, but this is kind of a crazy play with the 2 wraiths already here. This is gonna be really hard to get anything done. And look at that, he's already come out here. He's got 2 reavers in this shuttle. Man, these wraiths are just gonna shut this down so badly. Oh no, Ruin.
Well, what can you say? This is absolutely ridiculously well played from Suck, shutting down Ruin at every junction in this game. There's not really much counterplay left available to him. He is going for this sort of poor man's recall way of playing by getting his double robos. He has like so many shuttles available to him. He has got this dropship pinned down on the 3 o'clock position a little bit here. He has been trying to catch that for some time, not quite able to finish that off as there's no air units made to finally catch that. So has kind of just left it standing, floating around in no man's land. So it's still an active threat. So it needs to keep some dragoons there, pinning that down. But now with all these wraiths being added, I don't see how this shuttle play is going to really amount to too much. And that does really limit the counter opportunities for Ruin and will kind of force him into engaging the Terran head on in the center of the map more. And that will definitely favor Sark's game plan a lot more than it'll favor Ruin's.
We haven't seen it right now, and actually he's putting his wraiths over top of the add-on here for the starport. I think he's getting Cloak right now, and Cloak is just so good in a situation like this. When your opponent is really relying on, Reaver play and these shuttles to deal damage. If you come in, 3-4 wraiths and Cloak, and then just gun down the observers, you can kill every single shuttle and just take a massive advantage. Just completely remove all the tools that the Protoss is hoping to use to deal damage to your army. And then when it's just straight up gateway units against 3-2 mech, there's really nothing that Ruin can do anymore.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that, Sen. And we're going to be seeing more or less like 4 or 5 race with Cloak shutting down the shuttle play. But beautiful mind connects on these Dragoons in the center as well, softening these up for later. Going to be a nice little tasty blue goo treat for the Terran army to keep, Oh, look at this, catching the shuttle in the middle already with these 3 wraiths. Beautiful use of these wraiths being very active, always being sharking around the map, hunting down active threats, and Sark showing that really by being proactive as Terran, you can mitigate a lot of issues, and coming down and sniping these Reavers before they can even be scooped up as well. So Sark kind of everywhere, and Ruin's starting to become nowhere as he's starting to become deleted off this map by the Terran player, and needs to be really careful going forward because this Reaver's dying for free while also losing these goons to just straight up vultures. There is a poor man's recall to be having at a 12 position with these 3 shuttles coming in here, saying, but they might be intercepted by the Wraiths.
Wraiths coming right up towards this area. There's going to be a big storm here on the ramp. Huge storms coming down, killing off basically every SCV at this location. Getting some great damage there, but the counterattack's going to be huge. It's all going to be up to how Ruin handles this counterattack. He's done the damage. He's killed quite a lot of SCVs, but can he survive this push that's coming out of Sock right now? It looks deadly.
It looks more than deadly, and I think he's gonna like kill him, revive him, and kill him again. He's having fun of him right now, just slowly closing his grip around his throat. He is losing a little bit of infrastructure and economy at 12 o'clock. We're now hunting down these shuttles with the race. Beautiful move shots from Sark, just absolutely on fire this game. Has taken a lot of damage from these units. Going to be dodging these storms though, and not risking finishing off that shuttle too quickly. Now though, coming in and trying to take down this base, but losing these units to the cannons. A little bit uncharacteristic of Sark, losing to those cannons there. Going to be a real bad news bear situation for him. Could have taken that base out for free pretty much, but instead going to have the cannons stabilized. Now coming out with the Zealots and Reavers and Goons trying to break out of this position. Beautiful storms coming down to Terran mech units. It looks like it's just slightly too much though for him to deal with. So it's going to be tough for Ruin to stabilize in this game. He's just barely not got enough mass to come down here and overwhelm his position. He's now barely going to break out of this base, but at the cost of pretty much the majority of his army, just as some reinforcements show up. So barely Sark clinging on to his contain and reducing the forces of Ruin down to an absolute nub, so that when he finally breaks out now, he's got hardly anything left for him.
Yeah, those units over at the center right did go down for the most part, but it looks like he saved 1 vulture maybe behind the mineral patches. No, he's got nothing over there. So actually, Ruin could be mining right now. I thought he was denying that mining, but it's just a drop ship sitting there. Ruin has almost no economy here. He's behind in supply. He's flying around with 1 shuttle, maybe with a couple of Templar in it or something. I'm not sure exactly what's there. He's going to try and come up here and deal with these 3 tanks. Need some vultures, or need some zealots though with that to deal with the tanks, but this position a little bit too good. Sock gonna take a great trade here. He loses these tanks, but he's also attacking down towards the bottom center, and Rua just pulled apart. Does not have what it takes to deal with Sock in this position. Is gonna end up losing this 6 o'clock. He's got quite a few Templar here to work with, but Storm's just not gonna cut it right now.
Yeah, Storm's not going to be enough to deal with these small skirmished assaults that we see levied against him from Sark. He hasn't got these big clumps of units to get maximum efficiency with these high Templars. They'll just get mopped up by the Vultures about too much for their efforts. So he can't really win this war of attrition with Sark right now. It's really unfortunate. He has some Reavers slugging their way over to the 6 o'clock position as well. They may all go down in short order. There's a few more tanks coming in. If a good Scarabs were target fired onto these tanks, he can clean this up. But the shuttle's going to be going down to the race in the top right. And a few Zealots, I think, coming into the 12 o'clock position. But I don't think that they will be successful in any kind of finding any damage there. GG finally called from Ruin. Absolutely destroyed by Sark. Stellar gameplay from our Terran player here, adding another point on the board.
Oh, Team Best fighting back here, making this a close series. But now we've got 815 versus Mind on Dark Origin. It's gonna be a tough battle for 815.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough battle for him. If there's anyone that can upset, it's gonna be him though. So I do give him a strong fighter's chance against the likes of Mine, but Mine being such a genius caliber of a player, it's gonna be hard to, get one underneath his nose about him smelling it. So we'll have to see whether or not Mine can indeed smell out whatever kind of cheese might be baked into a pizza his way, but doesn't necessarily mean that 815 will do a full-on cheese. There just might be some kind of like shenanigans or interesting strategy he's got prepared to try and outmaneuver and outthink the absolute brain box of Mind here on Dark Origin.
Yeah, there's for sure some opportunities here. Dark Origin has very strange map features. There are builds that can start to deal with what Mine has here. I'm kind of losing my train of thought here because we've got a spawning pool. What do you think about this? Why is he going spawning pool right now? This is like a over pool, I guess, or with a gas? Okay, yeah, he's doing something weird now.
Yeah, this is something weird already, and this is basically what I was thinking. He's got something cooked up for Mind here. It's only a matter of what, what kind of pizza are we baking for the Terran player to enjoy here? Is it a stuffed crust pizza? This might be a stuffed crust pizza soon.
That's reserved solely for Zealot, man. He's the stuffed crust for Zerg player, but 815, he's got some cheese of his own. What flavor though? That's what Mine's trying to figure out right now. He's sniffing it out. Doesn't quite know just yet, I think. He's gonna get some good information here in the main base, and he can see now clearly that there's no layer. So okay, there's the layer starting. He knows exactly the timing on that. That's very good, important information as he throws down his command center. Doesn't know what he's up against yet, but he has the basics of an understanding here. Whoa, great jump through there with the SCV as well. Anytime you can deny a little bit of damage going on to this SCV is great, because that's going to increase the amount of time that this stays alive, and that's going to increase your chances of staying alive in this game.
Right, there is a small chance that there was link speed taken after the fact, and we've got more links coming, so keeping the SCV alive as long as possible, making sure there's drones coming out of these lava and settle links is really important. Also, making sure there's no Hydra Den being thrown down for a lurker timing. It's very unlikely that he will go for lurkers with this tech pattern. Usually you'd go for 12 hatch for lurkers, unless you're doing some sort of 9 pool speed into lurker with a speed cancel. But the fact that he's getting this SCV in the back of this line with this SCV, he's being so annoying to 815 here, and it's going to be a lurker by the seams of it. Wait, what? No.
Oh, Spire. I saw the drone was dancing there before the layer was done. I thought he was definitely going to throw down a Hydralisk Den there, but I guess he was just positioning the drone. So sorry about that, Shun.
He fakes me out so much there with that. No worries though. Yeah, it is like I was saying before though. It's very unlikely he will go for Lurker with this tech path, this build order. It's very efficient to go mutas with this build order. So it was likely going to be a Ling all in or a Mutalisk. So he Mind was pretty sure it was going to be this way either way, but he needed to confirm just to doubly make sure there wasn't going to be some kind of hold position Lurker play like now. Like he knows exactly where he's going to line up with the Zerg player, and that gives him so much more comfort in this game coming out. We see another base being thrown up for 8:15, so kind of planning ahead in this game. Going to be trying to throw Mine through a loop. It might be some time before Mine figures out this base is even here.
Yeah, that might be the lowest possibility base on this map. Like, there's not a lot of places to hide a base on Dark Origin because it is just such a small two-player map. This is probably the spot though, if you wanted to obfuscate your third base location. Possibly the top right, but that almost seems a little bit too obvious for a hidden base, right? That might be the next place that you scan. He scans the main, he sees that mutas are being built here, but he doesn't know about this location, and he might not know about it for quite some time.
Right, he's very unlikely to scan this space is the key thing here. He might scout that with an SCV or Marine running around the map at some point, but it's very unlikely he's going to scan that for quite some time. That's what we're basically saying right now. So it will be at least a considerable amount of time elapsed before he finally sniffs this out, which might throw him off a little bit and thinking that this is a pure two-base all-in muta play, which it very much likely would be, giving the early game tech pattern of the Zerg. So he's very much expecting an all-in muta play here right now, and if it's not an all-in muta play, he might make too many defenses and the Zerg might come back into the game with a strong economic curve.
Yeah, if you think about it, like, the scan that Mind would probably be using most likely just be north of the main base here for 815, and then probably if that's not the spot, you probably scan the bottom left, and if that's not the spot, then you probably scan top right. I'm just trying to think about his kind of logically thinking about where that third base might be, but that center right might be the very last location that you decide to scan. More scans coming down here. I'm not clear on where that is. I guess he's scanning the main to just check and see if more mutas are being made. He doesn't really see anything here, and yeah, he might be tricked into thinking this is Mutalisk all-in.
Well, it might still be Mutalisk all-in. It's just he might be thinking it's 2-hatch Muta all-in and not the 3-hatch Muta all-in that it could be. So this is the genius of 815, is that he's kind of tricking Mind into thinking that it's one cheese, but it can potentially be 2 other cheeses. And it could even be a more or less a standard transition if he so choose, but it is very likely to be either a 3-hatch Muta all-in or some kind of Guardian Rush play. But since we saw no Queen's Nest, it's got to be some kind of 3-hatch Muta all-in play, I would most likely imagine. But he has left himself options to transition as well. And if Mind doesn't figure out that there's this third gas online right now, he might miscalculate how much he needs to make and when he can move out and when he can't. And that miscalculation will be punished very heavily by 815, who has a very stellar Mutalisk micro, not quite up to Hyuk standard necessarily, but still stellar enough to come in here and clean up these bioforces rather efficiently.
He's doing a good job of that so far, just slowing that down. We see the factory coming down now, so Mind getting towards that next stage of his tech. This is a great location as well on the center right here to hide some additional tech, right? You could throw down a Queen's Nest over there, then start that transition before Mind spots it or scouts it, sees it, and we could go into a Guardian play, but so far just continuously making muta. Maybe gonna start to add on some Lings as well. Doesn't have a whole lot of drones here, so he's really banking on killing this first Submarine Medic Force. He's done a great job maneuvering around these ridges here, utilizing that kind of awkward terrain to take a big advantage. That's so many mutas now. He just runs over this, but Mind heads back into the natural. He might be able to hold from the nat with those reinforcements coming in and the masses of turrets he's managed to build so far.
Wow, I've got to say, I'm really happy to see my boy in the jersey. There's the scans. Look, it's like we've got this game on a read right now, Sen. Everything has been perfectly planned here from 815. I'm really excited to see him in the position that he's in right now, coming into the main base with these two control units, taking out all these turrets in short order and forcing the Marines to have to come through the SUV line, forcing a bad trade on them as well. There's not even any medics here. They can't even get up here. The unit flow is not good enough. The turrets and barracks are just clumping up all these Marines too much, so they can't even get up in here to defend. There's two clumps of mutas. It's just too much DPS coming out of such a small space on the map, and all these Marines are being gunned down by whole position mutas right now. Unfortunately for Mine, he's lost so many of these forces. He has cleaned up a majority of these mutas, trying to back them away out of his base, but he's taken so much damage in the process, down to 40 supply, barely any SCVs mining in the main base, more SCVs still falling, saying this is absolute nightmare, game-ending damage that he's withered so far.
Yeah, this is so rough. Those two groups of mutas coming in at just such a specific timing there. Really, this game plan is amazing from 815. He's going to come back in once again before the turrets are really up in force. But Mind is here. He's ready, and he's keeping everything together really nicely and fighting these mutalists back. He's going to hold on for now. He's working his way towards a Valkyrie at the moment, but a Hydra's Den has been thrown down. So there is that transition now for 815. He's done enough damage. The SCV count is low at enough at this point where he can pretty much just transition healthily into the next stages of this game. He picks off that bunker at the front. He's gonna get 2 supply depots for free. That's not gonna matter that much because Mind is nowhere near supply blocked at this point. He's lost so much, but that's still a nice little pickup there for 815.
Yeah, actually, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but killing that bunker actually does put a splinter in the Mind's mind, because now there's a potential of Ling counterattacks in the natural, so we can lose these turrets for free. But even 815 is saying, I don't even need to Ling backstab you. I'm just going to come in here and kill these turrets anyway. I'm in such a strong position, I'm just going to force you to evacuate into the main base. You need irradiates to come out of your base, and even then, you're still not even going to save this command center because your irradiate timing is at 11 minutes 30, and I'm killing your CC at 11 minutes.
God, that's so painful. Double groups of mutas here, just shutting down that natural, and now with only the main base remaining, I think Mind is out of options here. 815 pulling out a pretty sick upset, controlling multiple groups of mutas once again, this time at different areas of the base here, killing off that refinery while harassing the main base. Mind is just out of options. He's got nothing. Like, what can he even do here? We're going to see lurkers now. Lurkers are going to come forward. Mind is done, and we're going to get tied up.
Yeah, it's going to be tied up. There's no way Mind's winning this game. Like, short of like a jet engine falling on 815's head, I don't think he's losing this game. Like Donnie Darko style, maybe. But nice little muta split as well. Not going to be losing too much HP on that muta flock. And he's going to be transitioning into these lurkers, like you say. So I don't know how Mind's going to be able to fight against this. He needs some kind of miracle. Like, we need to see boxer level micro and big Zerg blunders. And I still think it's going to be an uphill battle for him. Flash himself up against an A-rank scrub maybe has a fighting chance, but it's still going to be tough. Irradiate's coming down onto this beautiful split on these mutas as well, forcing maximum amount of resources invested from Mind just to come out and take these bridges to get into the middle of the map. It's going to force even more of a win percentage deficit for him to fight and try and somehow overcome. But he has some small chance of getting into this base and killing some of these drones before trading off his army, but he will still probably lose his army for free.
This army is just going to get completely overwhelmed. He's running away and trying to take the best trade as possible, but every time he backs up here, the mutas are getting more and more glaive damage. He needed to kill every muta with those 2 irradiates, but he just didn't really get that much damage on them. They pulled out and split very, very nicely. So the mutalist number is still really, really good here, supporting these lurkers. He's just going to run forward, then finish off this Terran player. Very nicely done. 815 rolling through. GG. Mind taps out, and Team Best ties up this series. Okay, so coming off that monster of a game from 815, we're gonna go to our selection process here. We're gonna go to the roulette wheel to figure out which set will be repeated in set number 7 on Team Best. We've decided to ban Hyuk And
Mm.
Light has decided that his Kahiri versus Monster matchup is going to be the weakest. So he throws down that ban. That leaves set 2, 4, 6, and 5 as potential repeats here. I'm going to spin the wheel and find out who's going to be playing next.
Come on, 815 again, please.
Oh,
for the
come
love of
on.
God. Please.
Best versus Killer. One more time.
That's good too.
Best versus Killer. Come on, baby.
Yeah. Please, best versus killer, 815 versus mine.
Oh! Let's go. Okay. 815. Bottom right. Once again. Best. Top left. Oh, boy. 5 pool.
Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Now, will mind this or not? Because if he doesn't, he's just dead. If he doesn't even consider this as being a possibility, then he's just probably gonna die. He's very, oh man, this is craziness. What an absolute legend. What balls of steel to go for this. Because here's the thing, right? Most Zerg players wouldn't dare go for a play like this. They either they're not confident enough in their early game control or their nerves to be able to handle executing this. Because even if in a situation where they should win, they can still easily lose just from a slight mistake or miscontrol. So they usually don't want to play like that because it makes them look stupid when it doesn't work, right? So psychologically, this is a brave thing to go for in a setting like this. So usually you would not anticipate the guy doing something like this. So we might just see like someone just died to it because they like go for like a wall in, or they go for a CC first, or we do see the barracks being placed, but it's close to the ramp, so it's still not going to be an easy hold necessarily. So we'll see what happens, but it probably won't be a very early SCV scout, and he will have to do some very exceptional micro to win this game still. So we'll see.
Now let's see how 815 avoids this SCV. He's gonna have to go around this to hide the fact that Lings are coming across the map. Does do the extractor cancel to get one more set of Lings here. He's gonna go for the full 8 Lings built immediately, so a lot of committed resources here from 815. Just barely gonna slip around this SCV, but the SCV is gonna get in here, I think, with plenty of time for Mine to actually pull SCVs to the ramp and defend this. He's gonna have that barracks finished in time. I think I understand where 815 was, why he would go for this, because last game there was that wall-in at the front, and if this was a wall-in right now, if Mine had played this out exactly the same as last game, he would have just straight up lost by now. But he's gonna be able to hold this off, I think. Yeah, keeping the Lings on the ramp, losing a few SCVs is fine here, as long as he keeps this Marine alive and he keeps the Lings out of his main base.
Yeah, it looks like this is going to be a mine game thus far. There are a few drones being made for some kind of transitional play, but he needed to kill a few more SCVs to make this transition a fruitful endeavor. You can play a pretty strong game from a 5-pool position, but you need to get some damage done. He didn't quite get the ideal threshold of damage to make this a manageable game, so he will still probably try to make something of it, but this is definitely a mine-favored game going forward. 815 is definitely going to be an underdog in this, not finding enough of those SCVs.
Yeah, what did he get? 3 SCVs from that? Yeah, you're just so far behind here. And Mine keeping those 2 SCVs on the ramp, that's at least, you know, delaying his mining a little bit. But once this 5th Marine pops out, I think you can just send the SCVs back. Okay, he's just gonna leave 1 SCV here, just a safety SCV. That's fine. He's so far ahead right now. I think that we're gonna have to see something crazy, like maybe a super quick lurker here off of 2 base. I don't even know if he's gonna mine from this natural, to be honest, because he's just so all in. He has to do something right now.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing he's got going for him is that it will be a little bit of time before the natural expansion comes up from Mine, so there's a small glimmer of hope that maybe there's a timing he can somehow figure out, but it's going to be so tough for him to do that. Mine's going to be coming back here and hopping out an SCV as well to guarantee a scout. He doesn't want to even risk this SCV being denied scouting. He's going to guarantee the scout and confirm exactly what's going to be the tech path choice of 815 here and confirm exactly what he's up against, while also finally now pushing out and warding away the Zergling threat to finally start to take this natural expansion eventually here.
Well, the SCV is going to be spotted by the Overlord. That's something, right? I think that was spotted. I'm not 100% sure, but okay, he doesn't move a drone. I think you have to move a drone to the ramp here and deny the SCV scout. Because if mine knows exactly what you're doing and you're this far behind, there's just no shot. There's no way you can win this game. And he sees the main base. He just knows everything. There's
You're actually, it's funny enough saying he actually can't, because if he dares to block the SCV with a drone for even a few seconds, his build order will be too loose that he can't even place the spire on time. So like he actually is so tight on minerals right now that even blocking an SCV with a drone is out of the question.
Right, but doesn't he have to give some sort of, you know, unknown here for mine? I mean, I understand like losing a bit of time on that is painful, but like mine knows everything now. He is just gonna be able to optimize perfectly. He knows exactly when he can push out. He knows exactly when those mutas are gonna be coming here. Like he can time his turrets out even perfectly. There's just nothing hidden here for mine right now.
No, he is. He's going to do the same thing he did last time. He's going to take an early third base. He's going to try and make it look like a two-base hatchery timing with the spire, but then actually make it a three-base timing. But he probably will not be successful. But I do kind of agree with his thought process.
All right, well, let's see if it works here. Scan does come down. Looks like he's just confirming to see how many sunken colonies have been produced here. Maybe enough to hang on? Probably not, though. That's a lot of Marines and 2 medics as well. The Lings are very low in number here. You're going to be struggling to hold on against this. Definitely you're not going to be able to hold on to this third base.
Right, yeah. The fact that he saw this third base come up so early on is a bit of unfortunate for him. It does buy him a little bit of a timing that he won't be sunken busted, maybe, but yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate for 815 going forward. He's in a really rough spot right now. Turret's already on the way as well, so he's not going to find too much harassment opportunities as well, and does have to worry about some kind of bust potential. Might be able to get this drone just barely out though, so something going for him. Not having to drone trick drill behind is a little bit of an advantage there. Not having to commit 2 drones to get 1 drone out to expand in that bottom left also enables him to take this middle base on the left as well. So far, some hope in the barrel for him to scrape, but will be tough for him going forward here. Needs to have perfect muta micro and force a lot of stims out of mind. Costing a lot of this medic energy might be just what he needs to start overpowering this bioforce in the next minute or so.
Yeah, baiting out some medic energy, definitely an important tactic for any Zerg player to keep forcing that stim over and over again, and eventually they're not going to be able to heal all of the Marines in time, and you can start to take that fight. But things are just looking so rough. The base is going to be taken at the center left, which is hilarious. Maybe the absolute last location that Mind would actually scout, but with the Firebat coming over here, he's not going to have to waste those scans just kind of looking around the map trying to find that base. Instead, he just knows exactly where it is, and he should be able to send a force out to deal with that and prevent that base from coming down.
Yeah, so far looks like Mind is doing a pretty good job of controlling the game, but I still feel there's some opportunity here for 815 to maneuver his way back into this, but it's going to be an uphill battle for the time being. This base has just been delayed a little bit, so it's in an awkward position as well. Does that get the sniper on that Firebat on the left, but now losing quite a lot of these Marines on the right hand side, finally starting to clear up this Bible. Is going to save that Muto from being sniped as well. Good control from 815 there. He did have a click on that Muto as well, so did get a very efficient trade. And now going to be starting to mine at his third base, giving a little bit of a hope for the Zerg here going forward, but with an armory on the way, it looks like we're going to be potentially seeing some Valkyries being made to finally put a clock on these Mutalisks and prevent any damage being dealt for too long here.
Yeah, this is all right, I guess. Killing off the first Marine medic ball and now going to delay the armory. If he can kill this armory, How big would that be right now? He could delay this
Huge.
from this attack from coming out for so long. Gonna kill 3 SCVs trying to build this armory? That's crazy. That is so much delay already on this.
I can't believe he made the armory there. He's going to be kicking himself. I bet you as soon as the SCV died the first time, he probably said to himself, why did I build the armory here? It's kind of created a win condition for A15 because he can now skirmish around the armory, snipe off the SCV over and over again, and punish it with the mutas and force the bio to come out to get good trades. But Mind has done a good job, though, of target firing down these mutas, so he probably will save the armory in the process, but there was a chance there for A15 to get a good surface area on those Marines and keep trading them over and over again and eventually killing the armory as well. So it was a little bit of a mistake to maybe make the armory there, but has for the time being managed to weather the storm. But here comes further mutas from A15, another fresh flock of mutas, 11 healthy mutas this time, going to be coming back in to try and punish the Terran player being out of position, getting on top of these turrets in the main base, taking out the zone control here. But then finally the Valkyrie coming out, going to be warding those away and preventing any infrastructure damage occurring.
Ooh, gonna get a free muta here at the front as well. I think that was a full healthy muta. And the position right now for this base is so tough to hold on against this just small push. It's relatively low in number, the number of Marines, and medics here is not that much, but he's gonna try and dive on top of all of this. He gets both of the Valkyries. Wow. Better than I expected here from 815, but it's still not going to be enough. GG. He taps out. Mind gets his revenge. We're going to go to match number 8 here. All right, let's watch this next spin. We're going to find out who's going to come out for set number 8. 815. I mean, he tried it, man. I feel like he had one build for that map. He'd practice for Mind, and then once he got rolled again, I think he was just like, oh crap, what do I do now? You know what I mean? Come on, best versus killer, set number 2, spin to win. Here we go. Yes, let's go, baby.
Let's go, baby.
We are in the best timeline here, both getting our wish. 815 versus Mine, and now best versus killer. Let's start set number 8. This is gonna be awesome. Oh yeah, feels good. We got best versus killer this rematch. This game was so sick. Really looking forward to see if killer can recapture that earlier success. He played brilliantly. Best, he's gonna be looking for that vengeance here, just like Mind, and hopefully he could do it. Hopefully I'm rooting for best here. I'm hoping that he can pull something out here so that we can see that super ace match, because killer on match point right now. If he wins, this series is over.
Yeah, you're not wrong there, saying he needs to win this. Absolutely has to win this. Killer match point for Team Light here. Maybe we'll see a little bit of a rinse and repeat. Although we're going to be seeing a very fast forge from Best. Not going to be risking that kind of play as before, trying to greed out this Nexus timing. Sees the overpull from Killer as well, so won't be needing to do any kind of greedy plays. Might even get a little bit of a drone block on this hatchery for some time as well and prevent Killer from taking this on time. Does get the burst particle beam shot on that drone as well, so is for the time being going to be delaying this hatchery throwing down in the natural for Killer, being a little bit annoying.
Yeah, you know, now that you mention it, I didn't even think about it until you said it, but yeah, he did totally greed out in that last game, right? Like, so much happened there, and Killer played such a great game. It made me completely forget about how many probes were lost in the early game. Best definitely had a bad position from the beginning last time. This time, though, he's going to be in a much better spot. He's got the cannon already ready. He's going to be able to defend, make sure that he's going to be safe here. And quite a few lings were produced, you know? He did invest in, what, 8 lings here? And he's not going to get any damage here, I don't think. No, 6 lings. Okay, just 6 lings. Not too bad, but you really only need 2.
Right. Well, usually you can come in here with 6 lings and just pounce on the 1 cannon and get it, but with this setup with probes waiting at the wall, it's not possible. And Best understands that it's possible to die here just at 6 lings, so you have to block the wall here and be really safe about that. So this 6 lings is buying a little bit of lost mining time. Best a high enough caliber of player to be predictable enough that he would understand that he would make the sacrifice and guarantee not dying until the Nexus was finished up. So a little bit of a win for Killer there, forcing those probes to lose a little bit of that mining time. So going to be evening out on that trade just a tiny bit there, but still going to be a little bit frustrating for Killer. I think that Best will not be having the same kind of damage done to his economy in the early games, kind of forcing his hand to maybe make something happen in the mid game instead and try some kind of timing or some kind of mind game.
Well, this is an interesting play for Killer. He's taking the bottom left natural here, which is super strong on Tempest. And he may be going for a real defensive game this time around, where he's just going to sunken up on that high ground and try to take a quick fourth, go right into Hive. And we saw how good he was with that Hive play last game versus Best. I like it. I think it's going to be making for a very interesting game here, and we'll see how Best reacts to it. Definitely got to be kind of expecting it here on Tempest, though.
Yeah, there was a meta for quite some time where this was one of the most strongest and most practiced builds at the time, and Lava definitely popularized it even more so and made it even more formidable. The style where you basically take a natural expansion as your third and then use that as a springboard to take the fourth base for free and just turtling on those 4 bases and going all the way into Hive and kind of just being annoying for the Protoss player because you just don't die with these big sim cities of sunkens for them to try and work through, and you just got to defend and macro up, and can be annoying for the Protoss player to navigate their way around, and it can be a strong benchmark to set yourself up here. But look at this Overlord being sniped by Best, and meanwhile that's going to actually supply block Killer, and right at this junction of the game is actually a big deal for him not being able to make drones or lings or anything, and might even get a drone with this Zealot if Killer's not careful. So far Best doing a good job of getting a lot done with little.
Getting some stuff done here. I mean, killing off that Overlord with the Dragoon is a little confusing. He's going to see the Corsair now, but a lot of times when you see that early Dragoon, it kind of leads you to believe that there might be a big Zealot timing coming, you know, with a huge amount of Zealots and an early speed. But it's going to be Corsair here. Corsair's going to fly in and spot that there is indeed a Spire finish for Killer, so he's playing this out very normally. One thing I like to say about this map is that when Zerg players go for a style like this, and I haven't seen this very much, but I like to see Protoss just immediately go and take the bottom right, because you can set up cannons on that high ground over there, and then you've got a very nice defensive position. It's far from your natural, but with just, you know, 4 or 5 cannons and 1 Templar, you can hold off an insane number of Hydras, and then you can get into your own 4 bases and really take it to the Zerg player. Even at Hive Tech, with 4 bases and Reaver Tech coming out, you can take that fight and maybe deny a 5th base from the Zerg.
It's definitely an option. I mean, they could even play a very turtle toss style and even go into Reavers from that point onwards and just turtle with Reavers and set up additional bases and make it very difficult for the Zerg to come in from that point onwards, while also using the speed shells to put on a lot of pressure and harassment at these bases as well. So you're not wrong with that, saying it's a very viable strategy, especially with this geometry of the map. It could be viable, but I don't think we're going to see that choice from Best here at this time. But we're going to be seeing that 7-minute robo. I like to see the early anticipatory robo, making sure there's no chance here of being surprised by a contain, and we have to take a very late robo, and we have to worry about even coming out onto the map for quite some time. So I really do like seeing an early robo in these situations for the Protoss player. Does also allow them an opportunity to go for some kind of shuttle play and put a little pressure into the main base if they so choose.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Getting that earlier shuttle in order to, you know, drop maybe 4 Zealots off in the main and assist them with the Corsairs, you know, pick off some Overlords here and there. Oh, he's found this kind of cute little position here inside the base. He's gonna kill the gas? That's an interesting choice right now, going after that gas. We've got a lot of lings here in order to try and fight this off, but these are outside of the range of the sunken colonies, and with that +1 done, the zealots are really formidable here. He's killing off a couple of drones. Now gonna jump on top of the zealots once again, but he just doesn't have what it takes right now to actually deal with this kind of weird attack that Best has managed to wedge in here. This is a really interesting way to play this. He did manage to pick off that Dragoon though, so limiting the ability of Best to actually get kills here right now. Best still gonna send in one zealot at a time and just try to deal a little bit of damage to these drones while staying in a good position. Now finally Hydras are out. That will spell the end of this. He's just gonna run in and get a couple more kills though before these all die.
Yeah, this is like the equivalent of a gorilla putting on like a leotard and doing like the moves of a ballerina right now. Definitely threw off Killer with those absolute fantastic dance moves, but now losing some of these Scourge as they're gunned down by the neutron flares of these Corsairs, but does able to get in here with these DTs and Zealots with this shuttle, and now going to have to be forcing an evacuation while he target fires down the Spire. Scourge coming in to try and catch some of these remaining Corsairs. Only 4 of those left, but Spire does go down, and these drones on the gas going to be killed as well. So really tough spot for Killer. The eggs are going to be made short work of by those blades of those DTs as well. So really tough for the Zerg player to come in here with these slow overlords and clean this up, and did take quite a sizable amount of damage for this effort.
Yeah, that's what the really quick robo gets for you though in this type of situation. The DT slipping in here, gonna be killed by the drone. Citizens arrest there, getting rid of that, but more than enough damage was done by this early robo to make it worth it. Now he's got Reaver as well. Reaver Corsair gonna be the answer here for Best, and that's actually a really reasonable decision to make because we're already going into late game. You might as well get the Reaver upgrades here and start to get those shuttle upgrades as well. Get the speed out, get the Reaver attack, maybe even capacity, and all of those really juicy, important upgrades that'll give you that super strong late game Protoss army going forward here.
Yeah, I mean, I do kind of like Killer's position. He has got more or less what he needs. It's just he's taken so much damage to get here, and like the Gorilla's just been swiping at him and like, you know, whittling him down, kind of taking out his legs a little bit, making sure he can't get behind him and stab him like he was stabbing him in the last game. And now it looks like Killer's the one that's having to be a little bit shy, and Best is the one grazing around in the jungle and feeling much more confident in his element as he once was.
We've got an attack coming forward here. This is a very difficult one to hold off. Relying heavily on the sunken colonies for that defense, but they do not do well against the double Reaver push. This is way too many Zealots. I feel like you wouldn't even be able to hold off this many Zealots with just pure Hydra here. Just pure Zealot could take this on, but with the Reaver additionally, he's going to be able to deal so much damage. Does manage to save that one Reaver, going to keep that alive, and GG. Best takes out Killer with that beautiful little push here. Reaver Zealot able to finish or deal the finishing blow, but really the story was those drops. The story was those kills and slowing down the economy of Killer there. Now we're going to get into the final super ace match. It all comes down to this super ace match between the team captains Best versus Light on Neo Sylphid. This is going to be a wild game.
Buckle up, Dorothy, because Kansas is going bye-bye. I'm wondering what we got in store for us here, because it's going to be epic. And Best is like one of the best in the business at the sort of like, you know, pure gateway man, Zealot Goon, Shuttle Templar style of play. And he's going to be wanting to put the pressure on right away with this forward gateway. And Light's going to be aware that there's this potential of pressure coming out from Best here, especially on this flat map. definitely want to be very careful and make sure your Sim City is really stellar and every building placement is just absolute top notch and not a tiny weakness that can be exploited, because Best will exploit you if you give him a chance. He's going to come in there, maybe try and get this gas steal, but Light going to be shutting that probe coming in here, so not going to be able to get the timing on that gas steal and make sure he can get it at a nice crisp 12 gas timing and not forcing Light to take it at an earlier timing than he would have liked to.
Yeah, this is a really good move here. I'm taking notes right now. Light bringing out the SCV just at the right time there. He would have scouted. If there was no probe coming forward, he would have scouted with that SCV, but because he saw the probe, he just blocks here and he's not going to get gas stolen. Feels like a really smart adjustment here from Light. He's going to get this little wall in at the front and be completely safe against this early aggression.
Yeah, I'm really liking what I'm seeing here, and I think he still can make the gas in time, but it would have forced him to make it before the actual timing he would have liked to get it to be economically smooth, and it would have forced him to think more aggressive in his approach with that early gas timing. So it's a little bit good for him to be able to deny that for sure. And with this probe actually being a little bit slinky is a bit annoying for Likes. He actually could have almost caught that probe just for a moment there, but didn't quite get it.
Yeah, probe's gonna come back in. Could add a little more damage here. Getting a couple of shots on there lowers the number of hits you need for the Zealot to finish off that Marine. So can become a factor here, but looks like the Zealot's just gonna be careful for now, waiting for that second Zealot to come in. And with the second Zealot coming up here towards the front, he's just gonna run by here with the probe and Zealot. Getting on top of that, 4 Marines does deal with the Zealot pretty darn quick. He kills one. The one Marine getting killed off here, and the SCV's blocking means that Light pushes this back without too many losses, just trading 1 Marine for 1 Zealot. You're definitely happy about that as Light, especially when you've got this eBay here blocking the Nexus.
Yeah, it's such a big boon for Light coming forward, having denied this Nexus being thrown down for so long. There is some probes to try and quickly kill that as fast as possible. It takes so long for the particle beams of those probes to shut that down. Best knows that as well, so he's going to try and line up the mineral timing so when he gets the 400 minerals, he'll more or less be able to throw that down right away. But it's still not going to be optimal for him. He's lost a lot of mining timing, having to use those probes to kill that, and being delayed has kind of thrown him off his economic game, so to speak, because he's thrown this Nexus down at a very, very modest timing of 4 minutes, and that's really not greedy at all in this modern era of the game. So he's really been slowed down by Light, and Light's going to be very happy about that.
I'm looking at everything that's gone on so far this game, and I'm feeling like a Light advantage here. And when have you ever seen Light throw away an advantage in a game of TVP? He just holds on to it so well. It'll be up to Best to charge through some kind of crazy defenses of Light and break him in a game that he's already a little bit behind in. That's going to be very, very tough. But see if he can pull it off.
Yeah, right now the Gorilla's kind of grabbed the flame of Light and has like singed his hand and has figured out that fire equal pain. So now we have to see if he can figure out that how we can snuff out this flame. So can Best figure out how to deal with fire? He's been able to deal with pretty much anything else, you know, smashing his way to victory, but fire may be a little bit outside of his wheelhouse of tools to be able to deal with. So let's see if he can figure that one out and see if he can somehow figure out how to fight the force of Light in this game, because Light is probably, I would say, one of the best Terran players we've got going for us right now, and definitely one of the most accomplished ones.
It looks like he's pushing out here for some early pressure. Now this could be a double-edged sword, you know, if you force everything back and get some mines right in front of the Protoss base, it's definitely invaluable. But if you kind of mess up here, and we do have 2 gateways, so there's going to be quite a few Dragoons here. Maybe actually Best skimping on production a little bit. That could be painful. Okay, he's actually going to fall back all the way into the wall, so not giving himself an opportunity here to kind of dive on top of these tanks. He's going to kill both the mine and the vulture, so forcing everything back. Light realizing this is not going according to plan, he's going to fall back from this spot. I think a wise choice here. Best was holding that very nicely.
Yeah, there was a softened up Dragoon there on yellow HP that if Light was a little bit more diligent about, maybe he could have popped that Dragoon, reduced the count to 3, and then taken out the opportunity for those Marines being 1-shot and the tanks being 2-shot. Maybe had some sort of opportunity to snowball a small lead in that choke, but wasn't able to glean the kill on that Dragoon to afford that potential, so had to just pull away there for safety.
We're seeing a starport being thrown down kind of out in the open here in the center right part of the map. That's going to be hidden from view for Best for quite a while. Now, you may not expect a drop coming in here shortly, but it's kind of what Light has planned right now. He's going to be pushing out with some tanks, being very liberal with his usage of these early tanks, just running forward against a Protoss player who actually has triple gateway right now. He should have a lot of goons coming out very, very soon and able to overwhelm this force. And Light sees, 4 or 5 goons there. He's going to back away for now. But being really ballsy with these move forwards, yeah, look at how many Dragoons are out at this point. You really cannot be taking a fight as Light here. He's going to fall all the way back to his natural.
Yeah, and Light, by the way, is like renowned for vulture drop. It's so much so, in fact, that his pro gamer house, basically every single Protoss player in the team with him, they had exceptional drop defense. They never lost a single pro game to vulture drop, because every time these guys had Dragoons in their base, because they played against Light in the pro game house all the time, and Light just likes his vulture drops. And as we see now, years and years later, he still likes his vulture drops, and he might get away with it, by the way, as well, saying he's kind of navigated his way into threading the needle and catching Best off guard. Here come the vulture unload. 4 in the main base, completely caught with his pants down. Is Best starting to lose some of these pros. There is a shell here with a Reaver to try and ward some of these vultures away. Scarab trying to activate, shuffling around with the vultures, trying to mitigate some of the damage on that splash damage from the Scarabs by running them away from the Scarab, and then picking them up into the dropships and then unload them again behind the Minerals to keep the damage going as long as possible, trying to use the micro of this dropship to absolute tax the player of Best here to the limit, as he keeps being annoying as possible while staying active on the map with some more vulture raids.
Ooh, dropship gonna survive. That's big. I love how he was juggling the vultures there to just bait out more scarabs. It's not a lot of lost money, but 15 minerals per scarab, and just a lot of extra attention from Best. Getting a probe here and there as well, getting a couple extra shots and delaying the mining. It's all good stuff, and yeah, that was just an insane amount of good damage here. From that hidden starport, able to get that drop going, completely pulled the wool over the eyes of Best, and the lead continues to extend here for Light going forward. He's gonna bring the shuttle around again, to bring the dropship around again. This time he's a little bit more prepared, but could still get a little damage going.
Yeah, absolutely, and does have this dropship still just chilling now, coming into the main base for another time, for another round of damage. And Best kind of, it's really his fault. He should have learned his lesson by now. How many games have you seen of Light play? You should know by now. This guy loves his vulture drops. He vulture drops for breakfast. He wakes up in the morning, vulture drops some noobs on ladder, and then eats his Cheerios. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he definitely loves his vulture drops, and he makes it work in this game. He's put himself in a spot where it's going to be very, very difficult for Best to find his way out. Oh no, and this Wraith is perfectly placed as well. Great dodging though from Best, actually kind of breaking the neck, or breaking the knees of this Wraith here. That Wraith pilot having to double back multiple times, just kind of eating those G-forces, I think. Not able to fire the missiles and actually hit that shuttle. Keeping all of the health points on this shuttle is really critical right now. Reavers are super important for slowing down this next base that Light's about to try and take. And, Best, he's got 3 bases up. He doesn't have that 4th. He wants to delay this as much as possible.
Yeah, I think that race pilot's kidneys are probably somewhere located in his throat right now after all those G-forces sustained. But nonetheless, we see Best now in a pretty sizable supply lead here, but not by much in this matchup. It's more or less what you'd see in any standard game around this sort of time. So despite all the early shenanigans, we are seeing somewhat of a normal game starting to be painted on this canvas by these players. But this natural third of Light here has been taken quite early and is getting the shuttle with these cloak raves critically, which is actually a really big deal because now there's no support for the artillery units of these slugged Reavers, which are just going to be picked off for free by these siege tanks. Even a dudded Scarab on that tank is really unlucky for Best. Pretty much the worst case scenario for him. Light's going to be really happy about that, securing his third base for free at this junction of the game. We do see a large force of infantry of those zealots, so moving into position, waiting for that speed lock timing just now coming in, but the goons are blocking the zealots from getting any connections right now. Needs to be a little bit more careful with how he maneuvers his units here. He's kind of reshuffling them a little bit, realizing that his big gorilla feet needs to kind of be pointing in the right direction to be able to come in here.
Wow, that was uncharacteristic of Best. You know, he usually doesn't mess up a charge like that. He dropped in the zealots there to clear out all of the mines, and he did a really good job. He would have been able to run right in with his zealots had he not blocked himself out there in that situation. That was a very big missed opportunity because, you know, Best, he didn't grab the early fourth base. He was relying on breaking this third and forcing it back, or at least trading out all the tanks for a bunch of gateway units, and that just didn't happen. And now Best in a really terrible spot, trying to take his third right now, trying to take his fourth right now, while Light does the same thing. He's taking his fourth over here in the top right, staying on even bases with the Protoss.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of looking phenomenal for Light. Everything's lining up nicely for him, and with that squashed effort from Best here, I really don't feel like he's going to have too much hope of breaking Light for quite some time. And that's what Best needs to do. He needs to crush one of these positions, and if he's not able to do so, then Light's going to really run away with this game, and Best is going to be forced to like kind of make some haphazard plays to make some stuff work here, and that might be punished by like in the next few minutes of the game here. We do see some Dragoons clearing out some mines in the center of the map, trying to push back the forces of Light, keeping that flame from spreading too much. He doesn't want to get any fires in his jungle right now. He can't afford to have his jungle burned down. He needs to be able to breathe and retreat and just, you know, kind of nest with his family and relax a little bit after a hard day's work. He can't be having forest fires inside his jungle, so he's trying to squash this from getting too out of control here for the time being.
It does slow that down, prevents these vultures from killing off all of the dragoons. That's a lot of shuttles. We also have Storm here. Don't forget, Storm is the difference maker in a lot of these battles, and it'll be up to Light to make sure his tanks aren't too clumped, to make sure that he snipes and targets down those Templar. But wait a second, he's just gonna go right in for the main base here. A lot of shuttles here, but he loses the Templar as it's going for that Storm. The shuttle, or the Wraiths are gonna come back as well. There's a big Storm on a bunch of SCVs here in the main base, but oh my god, can he actually get this Storm?
Oh my god!
Pretty good. Not bad. 8 kills on that Templar. So actually dealing a pretty significant amount of damage. However, Light still has this massive army. He's at 177 supply despite losing all of those SCVs. So his army supply is huge right now.
Yeah, Light's still got a really sizable army. That was great economic damage done, but not quite game-ending damage needed at this stage in the game. And yeah, for the time being, it looks like Light's going to be happily just controlling the center of the map, slowly edging out. And Best does kind of look like he wants to think about doing something about it, but he knows deep down there's not quite anything he can do about it. So kind of biding him time, slowly trying to max out, seeing if he can figure something out here. But it looks like we're going to be seeing some more vultures are making their way out onto the map to the 4th base mineral only location. Only one cannon here, and with upgrades they can make short work of this cannon, and we'll catch the probes on the transfer as well. A lot of probes going down in short order to those fragmentation grenades of those vultures as well. Light snagging a lot of kills and kind of evening out the deficit from just a moment ago. So doing a great job of like setting the fur of this gorilla on fire right now and causing absolute pandemonium in the jungle.
That was rough, losing those probes there. You know, you have to cut corners somewhere, and I guess he cut corners with those cannons at the 4th base. Coming in here, gonna drop a bunch of Zealots and Templar on top of a lot of these tanks. Great storms on some of these tanks here. He's actually breaking through pretty effectively. However, the base in the bottom left is going down. A lot of Zealots here jumping on top of the tanks. Hold up. Wait a minute.
Wow.
Getting on top of all of this. My goodness. Best is a beast, and he pushes back Light. That was crazy. I can't believe he managed to break that spot right there. And he actually held bottom left too. Look at that.
Yeah, I think this reminds me of that scene from like Pacific Rim where I don't know if you've seen that film, but there's like the big kaiju like EMPs the big massive like the mech thing, and like they got no way of fighting back. They get some flare guns and they shoot this big alien with like flare guns, and all they do is piss it off. And I think that's what they just did to Best. I think Light just pissed Best off a little bit.
I was wondering how you're gonna work that into the game. What the heck? A kaiju reference. That's sick. Best coming in with another storm drop. He could get huge damage here. Big storms on the SCVs. Doesn't have a second one though. Only 4 kills there. Could have finished off that entire SCV line had he had one extra storm. Actually, a few more seconds here. He might be able to get it. No, looks like the vultures. Oh, he does. He gets it. Ooh, big damage. Big damage there. Light being reduced here in his SCV count by quite a lot. Being slowed down from taking this base over here. And his 3rd is actually starting to mine out. So it's going to be on 2 bases here pretty soon.
Wow, Best is like really evening out the game in just these small ways, which kind of keep his like fight alive in this game. And even though Light had such a strong commanding position, and he still does have such a strong position in this game, but Best is like kind of giving himself these small pockets of hope. Reducing the economy of the terrain is the critical thing you have to do in these situations. Getting a nice science vessel snipe there with those dragoons as well is another big win for Best going forward. Any small win is a big win in this situation, because you turn these small advantages into bigger advantages later on in the face of this game. Coming in at this 3 o'clock position with these dragoons, taxing the multitasking of Light and trying to get a lot done with a little here. Sniping some of these SCVs and forcing a bad trade up the ramp as well. Being really annoying is Best with just a handful of units and kind of forcing Light into these weird situations. Does unfortunately lose a few of those dragoons to those mines, but is now starting to max out, so he can go for these kind of small trades now, trying to zealot bomb these tanks and disrupt the lines of Light as he comes in with his western flank with so many zealot goons and templars. So it's not really going to be a good position to come in and attack, so he does wisely start to withdraw from his position.
Gonna require some really fantastic storms to crush this army that Light has assembled here in the middle, but right now just kind of picking at the edges. A good move here from Best to deal a little bit of side damage here, slowing down Light in his mining at that 3rd base. Gonna come around once again and maybe go for another storm drop. This is kind of a way that some Terran players Protoss players manage to win against these large mech balls, is just continuously killing off SCVs, but that time it didn't end up working, and Light is gonna get his 4th base operational. This base over here in the center right, fully saturated now, and Light's army here in the center is looking nearly unstoppable.
Yeah, it's looking kind of crazy right now. I mean, he needs to somehow cut through this army with really great storms and great maneuvering, but it's going to be tough for him. He's going to try and maybe pull Light around a little bit, come into this natural 3rd and kind of force Light out of position, maybe crush a few of these tanks for free, and then try and force Light to come out and meet him, but I don't think Light's going to really take the bait here. I think he's happy to just like shuffle his cards around a little bit and then just retake the third and not really force himself into a bad position. Just comfortable to hold the center and slightly remain fluid with his army to reposition against whatever Best tries to throw at him for the time being.
Best try to get a counterattack going around the map, but you know, this is the easiest type of counterattack to deal with. Just a few zealots, you send your vultures over and get rid of that. And now here comes a full frontal assault. Best winding up with the punch, gonna drop a bunch of zealots on top of this army. Nice targeting on some of those storms, some of those Templar. No storms have actually gone out yet. What happened? Okay, here we go. Some storms being cast, but way too late here. All the dragoons splatter, and a 50 supply advantage for Light after that fight.
Yeah, that's basically going to be lights out for the gorilla at the top for the time being. And here comes Light, basically taking his eyes and using them against him right now, showing him what a great stinky AP is. He snipes the majority of these High Templars off the map and starts to move across the peninsula with these tanks, trying to put some pressure on the remaining footholds within this jungle to kind of just set a flame to anything that's left in his path.
Light moving forward once again. Best gonna go for guerrilla tactics here for real now. Trying to hit these bases that are left out on the map. Hitting the SCV line here in the center right is a great tactic, but dealing with this army is the top priority, and he just doesn't have what it takes right now. 133 supply is not enough to take a fight with this at all, and he drops one zealot out of that shuttle. I'm sure he had 4 units in there to trying to get something done with that shuttle, but the number of Goliaths here is perfect to gun those down immediately, and he's realized, okay, I can't even stop this other base from going down here. I have to move around the map and counterattack and try to stop Light from mining basically forever in order to win this game. And I think there's just too many minerals on the map. He's still got mining over in the top right. He's still got mining at this low money base here on the false high ground, and there's just not a whole lot that Best can do over even in this location.
Yeah, I don't think he can really muster much of a counter effort here to prevent Light from just taking full control of this game. He's kind of getting squeezed out now. He's had both of these bases just knocked out. Light can basically come out. Losing that shuttle is even more painful for him as well. There is 2 more shuttles making their way up here. Maybe they can get something done. Maybe taking out this tank and vulture at the very least. Maybe allowing him to retake this nexus and starting to retake some of these bases. But I don't know if he's going to have any chance at coming back in this game. He's just like lost so much steam now, and it seems like Light's just ready to like completely shut down him in this game, I think.
Yeah, that's a big army moving through the middle of the map, and Best is looking puny here. That's so many Goliaths as well. Look at all the Charon boosted missiles that just gun down those shuttles. GG is called. Best loses his final few shuttles and taps out of that game. Light takes his team to the win here, bringing them to the finals. Really impressive stuff from him and his entire squad here. All right, it was getting very late for Shun, so he left it to me to close out the night. Team Light taking down Team Best. Everything is going according to plan for Shun here, who was anticipating Team Light versus Team Bisu finish. We'll see if we end up getting that finals, or will Team Hero be able to pull out a win there? We're going to find out coming very, very soon, guys. I really appreciate you showing up for this tournament, liking and commenting the video, and going down into the description, heading over to KCM's channel and liking and commenting on that video as well, as I'm sure you all have done. That's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this week of the KCM team tournament. Let me know what you guys think about this new format down in the comments below. It's been my absolute pleasure casting for you today, and I'll see you guys in the next one.